Hey, what's up, folks? Heavy Hitters Radio Show. This is Moose, aka Big House, man. We are live on Zoom and Spreaker.com. And guess what? I'm trying to video this thing, and you know what? I'm not very good at it. So
Hit
I'm
record, dog.
I'm doing that. I'm doing that. There we go. Record on this computer. Bam. All right. So hey, again, this is Moose, aka Big House. You over here with the Heavy Hitters Radio Show. We have some visitors tonight. I can't wait to get in that. But before we get into the visitors, let's talk about our mainstays. And we got the one and only star of the show. He is LGZ Mbaku.
I don't know what that is, man. The night I'm Young Mogul.
Okay.
No, I'm playing. Yeah, but life's been. I can't say life's been good, man. Mom's was ICU this past couple of days, man, and yeah, it's been serious around these parts, man. So I've been kind of MIA for a minute, getting everything back together. But the good news is, man, she's starting to come out of it, yo.
Outstanding, man. Hey, much love on that for sure. All right. Well, I'm glad you're here. All right. Yeah. I'm glad you're here.
Thanks for having me. I need some normal in my life, though. Even though life ain't really normal right now.
Well, you know what? We're going to talk about
around the world is not normal.
No, we're going to talk about that a little bit here in a minute. We also got the lady of the house, man, the one and only Run.
C. Happy Tuesday. You know what? It's my favorite day of the whole week. I swear. I love this. And I'm excited to get into these conversations tonight because I've been fired up today. Like ready to flip a table fired up. So let's do this.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Hey, man, I don't know on what it looks like on your screen, but on my screen, man, the guy below me. So I guess if I'm Alice, he's Bobby Brady. I guess I don't know. I was just being silly. Anyway, man, we got that smooth crooning voice, man, DJ Longgreen, otherwise known as D-Lo. D-Lo
G.
What's up, baby?
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Man, need the show tonight, man. Much like Jeezy, I'm having some issues with my mother's health this week too. So, man, just kind of need the release and need my Heavy Hitters independent radio family. And we've got some good momentum these last couple of weeks in terms of shows. So, I'm just excited to be here, having some great dialogue and just building on, what feels like we've been building on essentially since the quarantine started.
True story. And man, I'm again, much prayers to you as well. I actually been talking to you a little bit about it.
Thank you.
And so, for sure, much prayers to you. And moms, I know what it's like. So, we're gonna, even though we're gonna be a little bit silly tonight and a little bit serious, we still thinking about moms and them.
For sure.
All right, so man, we got somebody that comes in, but he's in this week. He's not dressed as a professional wrestler or somebody that's laying bricks. That's the one, the only Smingle, man. What's up, baby? You all right?
I'm doing good. Much like the other two guys, though, I've got a good buddy that's in hospice with brain cancer, and it's just about his time. We don't expect him to last the week.
And prayers, Smingle.
Prayers, Smingle. Yeah,
prayers. Appreciate it, man.
I've been talking to you about it, so I already knew, but man, like, what in the heck?
Yeah.
Like, after this show, we're going to just watch cartoons or something, like, just get everybody's mind off. You know what I'm saying? We got to just relax for a minute or something.
Well, I got some John Daniels going.
You know him that well?
I know him that well.
I'm not mad at you. Hey, man, I got one of my old schools in the house tonight, too. We're going to just call him William. He's going by his full government name. How you doing, baby?
I'm good, man. Just the world been going crazy, dog. I just seeing all this stuff on TV, but you really can't believe what you see and hear on TV, man, because it's just out there craziness.
Outstanding, man.
I even got me a little coach mask, man. I've been wearing this at work.
There you go.
Crazy stuff.
Go blue.
Yo, man, you don't burn that, man.
I almost passed out.
Yeah, exactly. You almost passed, man. You should burn that. You should get you a Bears mask, man.
Oh no, man, nah.
Get you a Bears mask, man.
I ain't trying to wear no Kodiak, man.
Right.
Coach Strong.
Hey, and real quick, man, we also got another one in the house. Just listening. I don't think she's no. We can hear her, so she can say what's up. It's my ex-wife's husband's wife. Enjoy that. It's
It's your who?
it's my ex-wife's husband's wife is in the house tonight.
Wait, so that'll be your ex-wife?
Yeah. Okay. I thought I'd be.
Why would you say your ex-wife, husband's wife? That's
the name of the show. You got to promote the show.
I'm promoting.
But the name of the show is my ex-wife's husband, not my ex-wife's husband, ex-wife, wife, husband, nephew, cousin, wife.
Hey man, look, she's in here. What's up?
Hello.
Hey, and by the way, man, she's just a great ally. She's a great ally, and I invite her. Hey, check this out, man. Welcome to Heavy Hitters Radio Show. The name of the show is, man, how long we gonna code switch? How long is America gonna code switch? And I originally had invited and I gotta look it up, holy cow, because I say it wrong every time. It's the New American Black Panther Party. They called me at about 7:30. I guess something happened in a national situation where the chairman, Shaka Zulu, and the minister of culture, his name is Kwame Shakur, both had to join this national meeting, the Zoom deal. So that's where they are. I went ahead and sent them the link. So if they're able to come in after their meeting, before their meeting, what have you, man, I told them that they were still welcome. So that's what's happening. But anyway, we invited them.
We worldwide, Craig.
What's that?
I know they going national, but we worldwide, Craig.
True story. But I think there was some issue that they had to deal with that was, you know how those organizations.
Man, when social action calls, they got to be there to answer the phone.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
And I'm sure their phone is ringing off the hook right now.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into it. Hey, but besides getting into that, we also gonna have brews and reviews like the normal heavy hitter stuff. We do not have reading Runbow tonight, but I'm sure we might have a game show that's gonna be very interesting. And it's a spontaneous game show that we might have. Does that make sense? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect sense.
It's a lot of times that like Run is the only one that kind of gets my little jokes, but that's okay. And then what's that?
It's because I'm the only one that listens.
And then we're gonna have tell me what you mad, son. Tell me why you mad, son. Because I'm sure we got something going on with that.
That might go on all night.
Sure.
We're not
That's
doing
the
that.
whole show.
And then we're gonna have some commentary. Then we're gonna have some. I knew it. I knew William was gonna have something to say during that section. Jeezy, you've actually met Big Will in person. He came to our show back in the early days when we were at Front Page.
He wasn't an original.
He's an original. Yeah. He's an original person, man. He came down. Yeah. He came down in person during that time.
I was going to say, hey man, where's all your crew at?
Well, we social distancing now, man. That's how we do it now.
Yeah, we gotta keep Moose alive because he's scared. Moose scared to be in.
So
Moose scared to touch us in person.
Yeah. I'm not slapping five. You know what? The art of slapping five is over with. Like I didn't even realize this, but it started in baseball, and it was Dusty Baker. Dusty Baker was on a I forget what team it was that he played for, but there was 3 guys on this team that hit 30 home runs, right? He was sitting at over 30 home runs. He was sitting at 29. They could have been the first team with 4 guys with 30 home runs. and then he hit his 30th home run, came in. Old boy raised his hand. Dusty Baker slapped it just because he didn't know what to do. He was excited. And that's how the high five got invented. And then this year, 2020, the high five is over.
Done.
The high five is defunded.
It's the high five is for sure defunded. It's over. I'm not high fiving nobody. It's over with. All right, guys. So let's just jump into what's happening. What's the reason we're here? We're here because now 2 weeks ago, George Floyd was choked out on the streets and in front of a camera, and we got to see the beginning, the middle, and the end of his untimely demise, and from that we had nationwide protesting to the fact that there was looting and that there was fires and there was rioting, but besides that, there were peaceful protests all over, not just the United States, but all over the world, in just about every country. there was mass protest in the form of racial injustice, systematic racism, and awakening of personal bias. So tonight we're going to get into all of that. Now, please, folks, understand the Heavy Hitters is a kind of a variety type show, so there might be a joke here or there. However, we are serious about this situation, so please don't get twisted.
For sure, we're gonna laugh and make jokes out. That's for sure gonna happen.
All right, so we are now 2 weeks out. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but we were the first show to talk about this. By the way, it happened, and I watch the news every single day. I watch Lester Holt. Matter of fact, today I watched George Floyd's funeral. I watched all of it until Al Sharpton got to talking, and I kind of dozed off a little bit. With Cristobal hit and Al Sharpton was talking at the same time. I couldn't keep my eyes open. But
did you watch the one in Houston?
What's that?
Did you watch the one in Houston?
Yeah, it was today. The one today. Yeah, the one today.
Yeah. I seen the one that was Friday, I think it was. He talked. Well, he spoke twice.
Right.
Al Sharpton spoke twice.
Right.
He spoke with the one Friday, and he spoke with the one today.
So can you imagine? Can you guys imagine? And Jeezy, I'm gonna let you go first. Can you imagine being his brother or one of his cousins or nieces and nephews and having three, not one, but three funerals around the country that you had to attend? I tell you what, we'll do Jeezy, we'll do Run, we'll do Smink if he has anything longer, and then we'll let William finish it. What's up, Jeezy?
Part of me understand because the amount of support and the amount of people that want to attend his funeral. So you kind of got to have multiple funerals to give people the opportunity. But at the same time, I feel like his funeral has been hijacked, and his family is being, dragged through this thing over and over and over and over again with cameras in their face, and people making political statements and people making, using this as a platform instead of, what is supposed to be just a homecoming for somebody that like we say passed in an untimely situation. So, it's one of those things because now he's the face of Black Lives Matter now. Like he's the actual face. So I mean, I understand, but part of me wishes they can just have a private ceremony, and then kind of just for the family and close friends, and then kind of like Kobe, what Kobe did, and have one big, maybe rent out a arena somewhere and have where everybody can come one time, and speak, and then kind of move on. But having three different ceremonies is kind of tough, in my opinion.
No, I definitely agree. Of course, when Floyd Mayweather's footing the bill, you go all out. You know what I mean? All right, who did I say next, Ron?
Yeah.
Anything?
I think that it would be really challenging not only to have three, but I think specifically just to be so much in the public eye, like Jeezy was talking about. Like, I just can't imagine trying to mourn the loss of someone I love in public. I think that it's a very personal thing when you have to attend a homegoing and when you are mourning someone that you have lost. So to try to do that in the public eye, I think is extra challenging. But I do think that the support coming out of this is good to see, especially being in multiple places. So that has been nice to see. But I cannot imagine going to three services and all of those being public.
Smink, you got anything?
Yeah, I obviously agree with all of that. And the other thing, too, that I think is got to be really hard and probably more so in the future than even right now is his little girl. She's young enough that, I mean, she understands it, but she's young enough that, all the attention is probably a little bit of fun. I mean, not to make any light, but man, as she gets a little bit older and takes all that in, wow.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, she's on the shoulders of Steven Jackson, who's an NBA star, and you know, I'm sure all the stars are saying hi to her and talking to her, and that's probably very exciting, which is somewhat possibly overshadowing the fact that her dad was choked out on worldwide television. You're absolutely right. So that's a good commentary. Long Green, anything?
Man, from my perspective, 3 funeral services in a typical situation is a lot. I lost my brother-in-law last Monday, and just having one memorial service was difficult enough. You know, so it's hard for me to think about having 3 services for my loved ones. But outside of that, the situation is so much bigger than just him being memorialized or remembered. So to some degree, I can kind of understand and get the 3 services, because this is a big moment in history. And once he's in the ground, he's in the ground. But I've seen some interesting things and just kind of seeing highlights of the funerals. For example, I saw a photo on social media today of the funeral in North Carolina, I believe it was, where Ahmaud Arbery's mom and Botham Jean's sister were embracing each other. You know what I mean? And
right.
These are 2 families who have suffered through the whole system of racism and white supremacy. So to even see these victimized families come together in this way, I kind of had to take my own perspective out of it, because the argument, the conversation is so much bigger than just my personal feel on someone being memorialized. And you wouldn't have that moment if they don't go to North Carolina. Now, I don't understand it's tied to North Carolina, but I certainly understand why they would do it in Minneapolis, and I completely get why it winds down in Houston. So even though it would not be my personal choice, this moment is bigger than one's personal choice. You know what I mean? So, so I respect it.
So I think D-Lo, what happened was he was born in North Carolina, whatever town he was in. That's where he was born, but he was raised in the third ward in Houston. So he
Gotcha.
you know, he was born there, but then he, you know what I'm saying, like you know, if it was hashtag Moose, y'all be on 10th Street chilling, you know what I'm saying, then move over to Stewart's in the same city. But you have to go to Grand Rapids because I like them too. And we had somebody in here H3, but then they left us. I'm not sure who that even was, but they were in here H3 and then they left us. All right, Will, bring us home.
Well, let's see. I'm a minister, so to speak, and I had to attend 2 funerals sort of back to back, and I can imagine. I don't know what another person would go through. Happen to go through 3 or 4 funerals, and it's really draining because you really don't have time to think. But you just run through you have a little bit of time to think. You think about the time you had with the person,
right,
and the personal experiences that you had with one person that passes, and then you have to go on to another one, and then it's a whole weight that's been put down on you, and I know about what's his name, Ahmaud. I don't know what happened with I really don't know anything else about the girl that passed away too, the one that got shot by the
Breonna Taylor.
Yes, when she got shot by the secret, what was it, Secret Service or the SWAT team?
Louisville Police Department, I believe it was, or SWAT team.
Yes, and I just feel like they're going to throw that one just under the rug and be like, oh well, it was an accident, and that's been going on forever, man. This has been going on forever, and ain't nothing been done about it.
Hey, so William, check this out. I saw today where 2 more body cam videos came out today of 2 gentlemen. 2 gentlemen that one guy. Of course, now I'm saying, and I'm always going to say this. One guy was complying. He was sitting in the car. Then he got out of the car and started wrestling with the officer. And when he started wrestling with the officer shot him 6 times. The last probably 3 squeezes, dude was laying there, So I'm sure he made sure he was killing him. And then the other one was they went to his house. They pulled him out, but he was kind of fighting, not really enough to be killed, but resisting, I should say. And so we got to say that we have to say that when the young lady was killed in Louisville, it was like a no knock warrant, and she was in the bed. She was like sleeping, in the bed.
Her boyfriend thought it was an intruder, so he did fire a shot at the officer. But she was the one that was killed. But her case has been reopened.
Yeah, the case has been reopened. I think we need to say that it has been reopened.
And guess what? I think across the nation they're gonna start looking at all these cases.
All of them need to be looked at, man. And the guy in New York, that's his second time killing somebody, and they haven't even said nothing about that.
Right. No.
There was another one I saw today that happened a couple months ago. I think they said now, but very similar to George Floyd.
He was choked out.
Hold on. Let me see if I can find the picture.
Yeah. Now the one thing that happened before that, which was sort of crazy, but the cops were going to pull him over for having his bright lights on driving through town, and he led him on a 20-minute high-speed chase, crashed 5 times.
That's one of the ones I saw today. Yeah.
And then when they got him, then they pinned him down and choked him out.
He was tased a few times too. I think I saw. He was tased a few times. Yeah, before.
While he was down.
Yeah, while he was down. All right, so guys, listen up, heavy hitters and folks. I mean, so we can chronicle all of these situations. We know that it's happening. I do want us to be focused on some sort of solution-based conversation as we move through and unravel all of this. Is that you guys cool with that? Everybody cool with that?
And to get into a kind of a solution, I don't know if we're kind of early on this, but I think one thing that needs to be done and be looked at is, yes, I understand as a cop, if you're going through a high-speed chase, your adrenaline's pumping, there's a lot of stuff going on. Now, granted, the camera's going to pick up the last 5 minutes, and that's what we see as people, but we have to have some type of system in place to say, hey, you got to maintain. If we expect NFL players to hit in a certain target while in the heat of battle and they are trained to now all of a sudden headshots is almost out of the game completely, then these police officers can be trained the same way. Say, look, we get that you're frustrated. We get that things are going on, but you have to first try to calm the situation. And if it gets physical, these are tactics that will necessarily take the perp down, but not kill them. Like they have to be retrained the same way NFL players have been retrained on how to play the game, on how to do their job.
All right, so you know what that does? That drives us right into defunding. What was that, Ron? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I think police officers need to know how to de-escalate situations. If you look at a lot of different careers that work with people, those professionals have to know how to de-escalate situations of a variety of sorts, and all the other professions seem to be able to do that. So I think that is a big part of the training reform that needs to occur, are those de-escalation tactics and working with people with mental illnesses.
And one thing I will say about, kind of to kind of say some agree with Ron, is the only difference I would say between a cop versus anyone else who works in those kind of situations is with a police officer, they have no idea what situation is behind that door or in that car. They have no idea. So there's a level of energy, adrenaline, because you just don't know. Like, you don't know, is this person armed? Is this person going to shoot? Is this person? I mean, We had a cop. What was it? 2 months ago? They got shot through the door when she was here in Indianapolis. I mean, she's going on a call, a domestic call, and she got murdered from somebody shooting through the door on the outside. So, police. Like, I know right now everybody's against the police. Well, kind of like saying different things about a police officer, but we have to understand that the job is not easy. It is not by any stretch of the imagination. I think as a people, we're just saying that there needs to be another way of handling a situation besides killing someone. You're not the judge, jury, and executioner in these situations.
All right, so I got a question for you guys. Anybody remember where that came from? That last line he just said. Anybody remember where that came from?
Was the judge, jury, and executioner?
Yes.
No, heard it many times.
Heard it forever, yeah, but no.
Come on, guys.
I know it's not.
I'll give you one clue. It's not Clint Eastwood, but it's another short.
No.
It's another short, muscular actor.
Scott Mingle?
No.
What, Sylvester Stallone?
Yes, Judge Dredd was the movie. I'm the judge, jury, and executioner. Judge Dredd. Yeah, and Moose doesn't even watch very many movies, but for some reason that one stuck with me. Hey guys, real quick, listen to Heavy Hitters Radio Show. D-Lo, where can you catch us?
You can definitely catch us on our social media pages. You can catch us on Instagram at Heavy Hitters Radio Show. You can also find us on Facebook at Heavy Hitters Radio Show. You can always check us out on any of your podcasting apps. Look for Independent Radio. Look for Heavy Hitters Radio Show. Apple, Android. Pretty much everywhere you're at. And certainly our Twitter page, but I'll leave that to you.
And Heavy.
_
Hitters.
_
Yeah, you know what else is funny, man? So we're guys, we're on all the big names too. Spotify.
Matter of fact, Spotify, y'all giving out that bag, man. The Heavy Hitters need some of that money too.
iHeartRadio, all that. You can catch us on all that stuff. Apple Podcasts, we're on all of that stuff, man. So check out the Heavy Hitters Radio Show.
Joe Rogan $100 million.
And guess what we've done? We've also started, since we're taping these Zoom meetings, we're posting them on our Heavy Hitters page on YouTube. So now you can see us while we're talking, and we're also simulcasting. Sometimes you guys might see me look up, but I'm looking at the Spreaker studio while we're doing the show because we're on the podcast and we're also filming. Man, check this out. We are multimedia down. All right, guys. All right, so Heavy Hitters Radio Show. Now, we got briefly into that defunding the police. I want someone, if anybody understands kind of what they're even talking about, like Ron, maybe you can give us some inside information on what they mean by when they say defund the police department, because I don't know, I'm not sure much about it.
Yeah, so I can do that. So I started hearing this phrase on social media and through the protests, and at first I thought, if we take money away from the police, doesn't that defeat the purpose? Like, don't they need more training to be a better operating service to provide protection? So it's less about taking money away from them and more about reallocating monies that are already there in other professions. And so it's not taking it away from the police department. What defund the police is really focusing on is taking a police department, including other specialties like mental health counselors and addiction services and healthcare, so that we can be proactive in these situations instead of reactive. We can provide people the help that they need in these situations instead of calling the police and having the officers deal with a situation that they don't know about. So if we think about what police calls often are for, a lot of times addiction is involved or the person has a mental health condition. And so if we can have other professionals to help be proactive in those situations, we would likely see less officer calls for those. Here's what it is not, and I want to be clear on this. It is not dismantling the police department. It is not, hey, I'm being robbed, so I'll call my neighbor to play police. It's not a neighborhood watch. It's none of that. It is still an organization. It is a state-run organization, but it is including other professionals in that state-run organization to be proactive in our situations.
Mingo, what do you think about that?
I think that is very helpful.
After Jesus.
But I think the biggest thing we should do is demilitarize the police. Stop giving them. I know I have black mouth. Maybe I see Moose's face.
No, it was very clear.
Yeah, that was a little bit of black mouth.
I think most of them come from the military anyway, man. So that's their mentality.
Yeah, so they need to. I mean, there's no reason why everyday officers need to be in full body armor. Like
No,
that's
not at all.
that's not. I mean, because you got to think in the 60s and 70s, you know, in any old movies they had beat cops that would just walk the neighborhood in regular, everyday uniform. You know, I think that's something that needs to start back up is having beat cops. Cops is just patrol, just walk the neighborhoods, like just walk around, be seen in the community, learn your community, learn the people in your community. I think that's something that needs to be brought back up, and have cops that work a certain area all the time where they used to being in that certain area and get used to the patrons in that area.
Hey, Jeezy, in the 60s and 70s, they didn't have AK-47s like in regular homes.
Oh, no.
I mean, are they supposed to be? They got to go home to their families too, right? Or no? I mean, I'm asking.
You know what, and I get that the world has changed as far as the weaponry. I understand that 100%. And notice I didn't say anything about having firearms. I'm just saying, there's no reason for you to have a tank coming in somebody's house with a tank, man.
But the only time they use a tank is if they believe that the house is heavily armed.
No, see that's where you're wrong, because I did a customer's house just 2 days ago, and he was a Pilgrim patron, and he said that he had called somebody to do an eviction, and the guy came outside because the sheriff was there to evict him, and he sat outside, and then he went back in the house and locked himself in the house. They brought a tank to the house and rammed the tank through the front of the house to get this one guy out of the house. Now, what they don't tell you when they do that is you, the owner of the house, has to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
Your insurance won't cover that.
Right.
So he was like, wait a minute, he was outside. The situation was de-escalated, and then y'all went and brought a tank and drove to the front of my house?
Wait. I thought you said he went back in and locked himself in.
Yeah, but why you need a tank? Like, a tank is unnecessary.
What are we supposed to use? We supposed to walk up to the door and knock on the door and ask him to come back out so he can shoot at us?
What you should have done is, we seen those big old poles, knock the door down, but drop a
we
battery
got to stand
ram.
by the door and do that.
But, Moose, an actual physical tank driving through somebody's house, that is overkill, man. That's overkill. A battery ram works.
Guess what it
I've
is?
seen many
It's
dope houses
nobody
out there.
killed. It's not overkill. It's nobody killed.
Moose, I just seen many trap houses broke in with a battering ram, the little hand thing, and knock the door down and get in the house, man.
Guess what? Because they must have did some sort of intelligence and knew that they didn't have the large weaponry to shoot through the walls and stuff.
I mean, Moose,
D-Lo.
I got to disagree with you to some degree. I mean, because the first time I saw tanks in people's neighborhoods was during the height of the war on drugs, when the LA Police Department would take tanks to some of the poor neighborhoods on the suspicion of drugs, on the suspicion of heavy arms, and totally take the tank and decimate people's houses.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, they weren't just going for the door.
Back door.
Go ahead,
They weren't going for the door. I mean, they were completely destroying these people's houses, many of them innocent. You know what I mean? And so they also caused more problems, because now you've got a homeless issue, and you've got a number of other problems that have entered and infected the community, because you are taking weapons of war to go after alleged criminals.
Yeah, here's the thing, guys. You guys are exactly right. William, real quick, what do you have to say about that?
I was just trying to piggyback on what
D-Lo.
DJ said, that they would take the tank and go from the front door to the back door with the tank.
Yeah.
And just done with.
Right, guys. Here, okay, but so isn't a situation where where the police need to go home safe? And if I can get in your house with a tank and you shooting up the tank and nobody's dying, right? Nobody's dying now. I will say this, D-Lo, to your comment. If we're wrong, we get in there and y'all baking cookies, then we owe you a S ton of money and sorry and new house and fix it and put you up while we fixing your house, and you see what I'm saying? Like all that money has to fix it now. And 10 years ago or 20 years ago at this point with the war on drugs, that didn't happen. We were like, oops, and then we moved on. Now we need to pay for it.
I'm going to say this. Go ahead, D-Lo.
But my point is this. You know what I'm saying? That's fine, well, and good. But look at the inconvenience you caused, one, by doing that. And then also, if you look at statistics, I mean, in terms of drugs, for example, white communities have the same percentage of issues as black communities. And when they take these militarized weapons and equipment into black communities, it's not being done in pilgrim communities. And the big problem with that also is one, you start developing that area into looking like and feeling like a war zone. But if they were doing it everywhere, maybe I'd have less of a problem, because it's a fact. Pilgrims have way more guns and military weapons personally than people in the black community. And then on top of that, once you involve the element of the media, it looks terrible. It drives down their property values. It drives out the funding for their neighborhoods, all based on these images of the perception that these black areas, these Latino areas are so bad that we have to go in there with assault gear and military tanks in order to curtail the problem. And from a perception standpoint, that's almost as dangerous, as far as the ripple effect.
And another thing I was going to say to add on to what D-Lo's point is like you said, Moose, what if they go in the house and like you say, oh, my bad, and we're going to fix your house up. But what about the damage psychologically you done to that family? Also, what happened to doing your research and homework and intel on the house so you know what's actually in that house? Do some more police work before you go in that house.
Right.
Have somebody sit in the house and find out when the house is empty. Catch them coming out of the house. There's other ways of policing than just taking a battering ram and going through somebody's house. I
think it's funny though. All of us at one point in our time have said, sometimes you got to flip a table. Collectively, that's flipping a table. That's flipping a table in the neighborhood. That's saying, hey, y'all need to stop doing the dope. Y'all need to stop slanging in the neighborhood.
Have you ever seen one tank in Carmel or one tank in Zionsville?
I'm sure they have.
One tank in Fisher. Like D-Lo said, if you see them up there and see them battering ramming those $200,000, $300,000 houses, then you know what? I'm all for it because it's everywhere. But when you're only doing it off Tibbs and you're only doing it in the black areas, I have a problem with that.
Well,
do it everywhere. If you don't do it somewhere, do it everywhere.
What's the reason that it's happening in those neighborhoods?
Because they're poor and disenfranchised, and they don't have the money and resources to be able to fight back. And unfortunately, the systemic problems with policing is so bad that they've started to, well, not started to, but they've been able to take advantage of the situation against people that can't fight back for themselves. The penalties aren't as severe. They don't have to worry about being sued. And again, I think it's ego to some degree because they feel like I can stand over you. I can do what I want, and you are powerless against me.
And Moose, not to mention, as of my check, crystal meth is one of the hottest drugs going right now. I've never seen a battering ram go through one of them places.
I've never
seen that before.
You know what I say too, Jeezy, about that? You know what's funny? So Moose is a man of enough age, and so is William, where we saw, and you know what? And my ex-wife, husband's wife, we saw the war on drugs, right? It was Ronald Reagan. It's the war on drugs, man. It was going crazy. It was horrible, and we saw that. And guess what? They criminalized crack cocaine more than they criminalized powder cocaine. Now,
we know that.
The last time I checked, none of us have a boat on here. I don't think. Well, that's not true. Smingle has a boat, but it's a boat for one. And he's not going to Mexico kayaking enough weight to make a difference. To Indiana, by the way, because that's a long ride on a kayak. All right, he would enjoy it, and he'd be taking pictures the whole time. So we'd be able to get him because he's snapping pictures, and Instagram and Facebook. So anyway,
you know how long it would take for the drugs to get back here? People would be pissed. It's fired, Smingle. You can't go get the drugs no more, man. You're done.
It took him 6 months to get 2 keys over on his kayak through the tributaries.
Because of Smingle.
And all the munchies that I ate on the way.
So anyway, you got a situation where during that war on drugs time, they criminalized crack cocaine, which cost $5, and made light of the fact that the powder cocaine that people were using was much more expensive, much more rampant, was easier to use, and so we already know that was part of bringing down the neighborhoods. We already know that was part of that. And if you fast forward to when people are taking methamphetamine or they're taking pills, diet pills, and all that kind of stuff, what they do? Oh my gosh, we got a health epidemic. As soon as it got to Fishers and Carmel and all those other places, and it got into the Pilgrim community, and we say pilgrims for white folks. That's what we did. We've been doing it, and that's how we do it. But when the white folks started taking that stuff, all of a sudden it became a health crisis, and it wasn't a war on drugs. It was a health crisis, and instead of incriminating them, they came up with more drugs that could bring them back to life. Right? So instead of saying, "Oh my gosh," if you get caught with ice or you get caught with any of these drugs, we're going to arrest you. No, you know what they did? They say, no, we're going to come up with some naloxone. So if you die, I can bring you back to life and then send you to rehab so we can bring you back. It's only because, folks, and we know it's only because the majority of the folks that took that stuff are not black. I'm going to say that on this video screen right now. That is the case.
I was already there with you.
It's the case. And here's the thing. We're all okay with it. We're like, oh man, this is horrible. But no, it's horrible. It's the wrong thing to do. But that's the kind of way that it went. D-Lo, what are your thoughts on what I just said? And then William, and then Smingle.
I mean, it's the truth. I mean, the fact that it became a public health crisis once it became a major issue in the Pilgrim communities, because it was always there, experimental drugs and everything else. These are things that they've been dealing with for decades. You know what I mean? Like, all of it, but, for people who don't know my current background, like I'm a 420 pothead to the very end. And I will say that over my journey, like in terms of seeing a copious amount of weed and other drugs, like when I've seen illicit drugs, most of the time I've seen them around my Pilgrim friends or friends of theirs and not in my own community. And I'm someone who's grown up in the community. So I just think it's a problem. And I think the perception has already been so dogged in terms of black people and drugs and crack versus cocaine. Again, it's all image and perception, and they've pushed the image, and this has become people's own personal truth about black people and black communities. So I do have a problem with it, because there are a ton of people in our community who 20, 30 years ago could have completely benefited from the methadones and drugs to bring you back to life and going to rehab and being put on a path of kind of resurrecting oneself. But we didn't get those opportunities. And so, again, that's just another disparity in the way society has handled us.
Smingle, what's your thoughts on this real quick?
Yeah, I think part of that even goes to redlining. Going back, I forget. I don't remember if it was Jeezy or William or who said it, but just the whole not allowing the black community to grow and prosper. It's with the redlining part of that, harder to get loans, harder to go to college, harder to get education, harder for business to prosper and all that, and that just goes into that whole PR type of situation. It's
Yeah, no, for sure. Who's next? William, and then William, Run, and then Jeezy gonna bring us home on this topic.
Well, let's see.
Hey, William, I'm going to do you like they do at the funerals. You got 2 minutes here, and I want you to understand that you got
2 minutes or 3.
You got 2 minutes here.
Hey, just that it's. I don't even get.
All right, we'll move on. We'll come back to you. Run. And by the way, Run, D-Lo said something. He said dog. Do you think all our listeners know what dog means when in the context he said it?
No, for sure not.
All right, so what should we do about that?
We need an urban translation.
So, Jeezy, real quick, can you give us an urban translation for when D-Lo used the term they are dogged?
When you say they're dog is like your homeboy. That's my dog.
No. When you dogged someone.
Oh, you did it wrong.
Keep them down.
You know what's cool? I don't think people.
As you can see, dog has multiple meanings.
Hey, real quick, my ex-wife's husband's wife. Can you unmute yourself real quick, please? Because I have a question for you.
Okay.
Does Ebonics have rules?
Ebonics does have rules.
See, I want everybody to know that Ebonics has rules. So something like today, I really dig all you guys, right? But if you ask me about how the show went yesterday, I say, man, I dug them. Right? It has rules. I don't dig you yesterday. I dug you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Ebonics has rules, man. All right, appreciate you. You got any comments real quick while you're on here?
Not yet.
All right, outstanding. Thank you. All right, Ron, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was not around for the war on drugs, but if I am not mistaken, most drugs are introduced to the black community by pilgrims. Am I wrong in saying that?
I mean, we already said we don't own boats or trains or airplanes.
So here's the real messed up part for me is that we, white people, pilgrims, are introducing drugs into the black community, right? And here's why we do it. So that we can take black men out of the home, out of the community, and put them in jail so that we can have free and reduced labor, right? That's modern day slavery, which is a whole other topic we can talk about at another time. But it's very messed up that white people introduce drugs into the black community to hold the black community down. And then those same white people are putting them in jail. And those same white people are then making methadone and Narcan to help the other white people, but we won't do anything for the black community, even though we caused that problem for them.
Jeezy, how do we fix it?
2 point. I'll get back to Ron's statement here in a second. D-Lo said earlier that he partakes in the cannabis industry, and for the longest time, cannabis was looked at as a black drug. But as you see now that it's legalized, we don't own none of it. We don't run under the shops. We aren't the ones out in public a lot of places. Even though it's legal, a lot of us still do it in the privacy of our own homes and around in secluded places where now, when you travel around the country, you see that it's way more pilgrims smoking weed than it is brothers and sisters. It's just, and so it's funny that something that was put on us as almost a black hat. Now that it's legalized, we're not able to benefit financially from it being legalized.
We already understand that, Juicy. I mean that it's not set up for us to win. When we win, we have to figure out a way to win with someone else and make it happen.
Right, because they put legislation and rules and fees as Ramon takes a sip of his
don't get stuck. Don't get stuck on that. Just go, man. Come on.
I have a question.
And also to go back to what Ron said about, I don't necessarily think that in some cases I think that Pilgrims introduced drugs into the black community. I think it's more so where certain drugs come from. It comes from our Latino part of the country or part of the world. That's where the connect is, and you get your connect. So I don't necessarily think that it was introduced to us from necessarily Pilgrims. I think that certain drugs.
We're trying to build a wall to keep them out now, Jeezy. They know where they could bring it in by themselves.
I mean, I've seen
lots of movies.
What was that movie with Frank Lucas?
I said lots of movies. You say, yeah.
Yeah, Frank Lucas. I seen where he went over there and got it himself and brought it back. That was in New York City in a different time. I'm not, but what I'm saying is your connect put you in the game, and then you the one introduced to the people in your neighborhood. You doing that. Even though you're not necessarily bringing it, we don't have no boats, but we do have a connect. And that, the more times than not, that connect is a person of lighter pigment in their skin.
Every time.
I wouldn't say every time, but most of the time.
I didn't hear you, D-Lo.
That's the trickle-down effect.
Yeah.
I mean, because, the government also had a big role as far as how cocaine even got into this country. You know what I mean? So we may have eventually networked our way up enough to be able to meet somebody.
Right.
But, certainly the Indians, the Native Americans, the Mexicans were here way before any of us. They had marijuana, so it was familiar to their culture. But once you started getting into heavier drugs and things that became available in the country, it may be grown, on another continent, however, but it typically was not the Latins or the people of Native American descent or other blacks who introduced it to us, and one of us eventually became the plug. Like, there was a series of events and conversations and networking that took place before Frank Lucas could ever be the plug. But again, it was a trickle-down effect because once he had it, of course, he sold it to his community and introduced it that way. But certainly it started way before Frank Lucas.
I mean,
without a doubt. I guess what I'm saying is that the business of drugs is huge. And I think for my biggest thing is not necessarily like we can debate back and forth the introduction, all that kind of stuff. I'll look at the penalty, the time served, the man hours served for the same crime. That's where true legislation needs to be done. Okay, like if you get caught with this, then you serve this amount of time no matter what color your skin is. I think that's the part where I feel like it's been disproportionate as far as like the man hours served for the same amount of crime.
Yes.
Whereas they get probation, slap on the wrist, we getting 20 years for that.
Yes. You're absolutely right on that. I mean, that's kind of the way that goes. So as we've had example after example of systematic racism, when you get more years for smaller drugs, you get less opportunity, and we haven't even talked about jobs. And we talked about redlining, which talks about loans, which talks about business opportunities, which talks about banking opportunities, which talks about communities and where you live and house police and all that kind of stuff. All right, so let's start focusing a little bit on some solutions. But before we get into solutions, it's time for a game show. You guys ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you guys ready for a spontaneous game show?
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right,
man.
here we go. All right, so, here we go. Hey guys, this is Moose, aka Big House, and it's time for a spontaneous game show. And the crowd
And what's
goes
today's
wild.
prize?
And the crowd goes wild. All right, guys. Hey, I'm your host, Moose, aka Big House, and everyone
And
is on it.
does the winner get the big piece of chicken?
Yes.
Oh my!
Yes, they do. They get the big. They get daddy's piece of chicken. All right, so here we go, guys. All right, on this spontaneous game show, we are going to discuss racism. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. So I need you here. Guess what? We have some guys that are not on. So like, there's some people I can't see. So you're gonna need a sound. Smingo, what's your sound? All right, Jeezy, what's your sound?
Ding ding.
Why does that make me chuckle? Ron, what's your sound?
Ring-a-ling-a-ling.
William, what's your sound?
I don't even have one, man. I just go,
Long Green, what's your sound? Okay, my ex-wife's husband's wife, what's your sound?
She's a mute.
She's
She's
mute.
not playing.
She's mute. I guess she's not playing. Is what that looks like. And then, and we know that Monsky. Yeah, we know that Monsky is golfing. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
All right. What is racist? Are you ready?
Yes.
Are we ready? All right, here we go. So, Moose is walking in the grocery store with Smingle. We're making chili. My chili's better than his because I have spices and he just has salt.
No way.
All right. And so, what I just said, is it racist?
If you get what?
Did you hear what I said? You're not listening,
No.
Jeezy. I'll say it
Cut
again.
out.
I'm walking in the store with Smingle. Moose is walking in the store with Smingle. We're both making chili. Mine is better because mine has more than salt. Is what I just said racist?
Ring-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. No.
Because
white people also put raisins in their potato salad because we want to mess everything up.
They put raisins. You say raisins?
Jeezy, catch up to today, my goodness.
Oh, did you say they put raisins in their potato salad?
Yes. And we talked about it for the last year.
I did not. Well, I don't know why I've been. It must be a Mandela effect.
I don't do this years, but I've never heard of that being put in no.
Oh my gosh, you guys! It's all Moose. Thank you for getting my sense of humor.
I do. I get it.
It's just you.
Karen is?
What'd you say, D-Lo?
Do you all not know who Karen is?
They don't.
They don't know who Karen is.
No.
Smingle knows who Karen is.
No. She said. I thought she said they put raisins in their potato salad.
For
That
sure.
is what I said.
For
I
sure
did
she
not see
did.
it very clearly.
Who does that?
Are we ready for question number 2?
Named
Karen
Karen.
does that.
I've been around a lot of pilgrims in my life, and I've never seen raisins in potato salad.
Let's not be stuck on that.
Yeah.
Are you ready for question number 2?
Those are just good.
How much pilgrim potato salad have you had?
A lot. And I've never had raisins ever.
Here we go.
Ever. I've never had that.
Question number 2.
It's not pilgrims, it's just Karen.
Moving on.
Question number 2.
Yeah.
Question number 2. My
I just seen
God.
pilgrims drop fried chicken straight in the grease with no seasoning before. I've seen that.
Question number 2. Is that what he just said? Is that racist?
No.
Ring-a-ling-a-ling.
Go,
Ding
Ron.
ding.
No, because he said he has seen it with his own eyes. He was not stereotyping all pilgrims to put chicken in the fryer without any seasoning. He was just saying he's seen it.
Just straight flour into the grease.
All right, here we go. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Question number 3. I like that song a lot. By the way, guys, like tomorrow, I'm in my car and I'm listening to the Match Game song. That song's not ours, by the way. All right. Question number 3. Are we ready?
Yes.
Is this racist? Moose is walking around a car dealership and not one person is talking to him. Go.
Of course, it's racist, especially if there's someone else on the lot, because there are preconceived ideas as far as what Moose is able to do financially, but also what Moose's motives may be. But
Side note.
I'll let you finish the question.
No, that's okay. Side note. Is that racist or is that just a biased decision?
If it's happening consistently.
Somebody rang in. Smingle.
Maybe that's just anti.
Wait, Smingle rang in.
It could be either. It could be racist, or it could just simply be a bias.
It depends on the car lot you go to as well. Are you going to a BMW dealership or are you going to like Hallville Autos?
Run chimed in, guys. Run chimed in.
I have buzzed in like 4 times now. I'm going to speak. I think that biases and racism are just, they're on the same sliding scale. Mm-hmm. And so if you look at the grand scheme of racist thoughts, actions, feelings, and words, biases and racism are interchangeable along this sliding scale. So it could be a bias, and I think the difference between a bias and racism is that a bias is something you think and you feel, and you can overcome that by some self-reflection. Racist is overt acts that then act on those biases to harm other people. I actually just checked my racism scale, and that specific example wasn't on there. But there are a lot of different ways to go from racism to anti-racist.
I think it's more discrimination, man.
Which is along that scale. I think it's bias.
I don't think that's necessarily racist.
On that same scale.
It all depends on, like I say, where you're shopping, like what dealership you're going to, you know, what area of town you're in. You know, there's so many other variables. That's not just a black and white situation that you can have.
I think socioeconomic status definitely feeds.
Yeah, all that goes into play.
But what I'm saying is,
how you dress, what kind of clothes you got on. Because if you're a brother, you're in a suit. If you're a brother, you're in a suit.
Yeah, bias is something that comes from your upbringing and background, kind of thing. You don't necessarily have to be a racist to have some bias. We all have some biases.
Yeah.
It's just part of human nature. But being a racist then, or discrimination, as Gigi says, if you're consciously going, I'm not going to go talk to Moose because I don't believe he's got money. I don't believe, I don't like black people or whatever. That's racist.
Okay.
That's flat out racist.
All right. So guys, you know what? I know. We have a quick little game show. We have a quick little game show in just, but I want to get back. You guys are listening to the Heavy Hitters Radio Show. We have become, which is pretty cool, one of those shows where folks listen to us, like a little bit on Wednesday, a little bit on Thursday, a little bit on Friday, finally finish us up maybe, Saturday or Sunday, what have you, before we start the next show. So enjoy your ride to work or your ride from home, or if you're working during the day, enjoy that too. Or you can watch us on YouTube. Run, where else can you catch us?
Yes, so you can find us anywhere you find your podcast. If you want to listen live, you can listen on Spreaker.com. Search Independent Radio or Heavy Hitters Radio Show. Otherwise, you can find us anytime after the live show on any other platform for podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio.
The Spotify, man, we take checks too, man.
And then if you want to catch us on Twitter, we're at Heavy
_
Hitters.
I'm just saying, Moose, they gave Joe $100 million, man. I mean, you could break us off a little bit.
Well, we got to get our viewers up. William, tell 1 million of your friends to listen to us.
Matter of fact, no, just one of y'all tell 3 people about the show, man. to tune in. Guerrilla marketing.
Hey, so I tell you what, man. Today's show, Heavy Hitters Radio Show, man. When I feel like, and actually the title of our show is when does America start to code switch? When does America gonna get tired of code switching? Right? Ron. I wish my ex-wife's husband's wife would give us a definition of code switching, but she probably won't.
I think she would.
All right, why don't you ask her? Even though she's on here looking at us, it's kind of funny.
Moose's ex-wife's husband's wife. Can you please give us a definition for code switching?
Because she's muted for one, so I don't know if she can hear.
That's why we asked. She can hear us. She can hear us. Just her mic is muted. She must be gone. All right, Ron, give it to us.
Not paying attention.
She just told me to stop. So in lieu of Moose's ex-wife's husband's wife giving a definition for code switching, I can try to do this, although she is a professional. So code switching is when you are with different groups of people, and so your brain and the way that you speak and the word choices that you have change based on your audience.
All right, guys, check this out. Moose is
a code switcher.
I have a black belt in code switching.
You do.
We all do.
I'm talking about I have a black belt in it while I'm speaking. It's one of those situations where I can really go into one situation or another like a mug and don't nobody even know really which way I'm going. It's one of those situations where if I'm really talking to someone, I can really get my point across, definitely make sure that it's done. And then if I need to, I can get with the mug. You know what I'm saying? I go in and out of it.
I think black people in general code switch daily.
Yes.
Like that's a daily thing to do, and it almost feel weird when it's come from the other way around. Like when Pilgrim saw the code switch, you like, yo, what is that?
Funny, I just got called out for that the other day.
You know what I mean? You know, it's almost like, dude, like just be you. Just go ahead and chill. Like we don't need the extra.
Well, you know what?
I just have a huge problem being called bro. Like, come on, bro. Like, I hate that. Like, I really do. It's not. It's just like, yo, like you wouldn't call him bro. Now, if bro is your everyday language, I'm cool with it. If I'm singled out as bro, nah, I'm cool.
You're not a fan?
Not a fan of being called bro.
All right, so guys, when we talk about code switching, man, and the way that this is, the reason that I suggested that title today is because I feel like, and this is the heart of our conversation here. I feel like America's going to get tired. I feel like America's going to get tired of all this black nationalism. I feel like America's going to get tired of all this. I feel for the black people. You know what? The random text messages I'm getting from people I haven't talked to in 5 years, like, hey man, I'm with you, brother. All that stuff. See, I just code switch right there because I wanted to say something else. All that stuff is going to stop. They haven't been texting me saying nothing, and all of a sudden, I'm with you because people are sitting at home. Roger Goodell, you know, some of the NASCAR dudes. You know, I've seen people at NASCAR kneeling and stuff. Like them cats out there. Like, man, I feel for my brothers. And at some point, they're going to get tired of doing that, and then they're going to stop. They're going to stop code switching.
And the thing is, they can. To me, I think the biggest thing I have a problem with today is we are labeled African Americans, like, and we kind of accept that we're African Americans, even though I don't think anybody in this room been to Africa. Like, we haven't.
I ain't never been there.
We never been there, but you know, whatever. But then for the Democratic Party to put on African garb and kneel. I'm like, that's a little much. Because first of all, when you put on African colors, you're not talking about the African Americans in your country because we don't wear that stuff.
Right. I wear the red, white, and blue.
We don't wear none of that.
Right.
Like, none of that stuff is about the people in your country.
Now, I will say,
colors,
hey, can I say just quickly, Jesus, and I want you to go back to it. Man, my stepfather, I have pictures of me in dashikis with afros and you know, and we taking pictures like this. And this is in the early 80s, Doc.
Yeah, but that's when the whole 80s and 90s, that's when we had that whole, everybody had the African medallion and all that kind of stuff. But but none of us wear that shit. None of us wear that stuff. Like, if you want to show solidarity, you might as well put on a backwards baseball cap and some hoodie or something. Like, that's more of what we wear in this country. Like, I didn't understand that, and I thought that was kind of like overkill. You know, like way, like that doesn't represent the Black Americans in this country. That does not at all.
It was the first time I wanted to protest the Democrats for peacefully taking a knee.
Say that one more time. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, move up.
I said it was awkward, and it was the first time that I wanted to protest the Democrats for silently taking a knee.
Yeah. And also, okay, I'm all for the take a kneel for justice, but let's do it when no cameras around. Like, I don't need you to do it for a photo op. To me, that's not genuine to me. I think there's a lot of posing going on. I think it's a lot of, hey, the camera's in my face. Let me go ahead and do this for the camera, for the gram. And that won't move anything forward neither, man. Like,
all right. So real quick, and we're gonna get back to this, but so how do we fix that one part of it? What seems like grandstanding for the current cause.
Well, I think Killer Mike said it best. I think, and the way this stuff all will go away is that white people in their own circles, when they hear somebody talking out of school, have to check them. It ain't up to us to educate other white people on Black culture. Other white people have to educate white people on culture. And why something they said is wrong, even when there's no one of color around to defend it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be within their community, and then it'll bleed over into our community. Like, we already know what it is. It's up to the Smeagol's, the Runs of the world to be like, yo, that ain't cool. When none of us are around, like, that's not how it works. You know, yeah.
Go ahead, Smeagol. Go ahead, John Daniels.
I had that conversation with my sister just a couple days ago, and she's pretty centralist in her views. You know, I mean, she's definitely not right wing or leaning right at all. But we were talking about it, and she said, well, all lives matter, And so I had the conversation with her about that, and yes, of course, all lives matter, but that's not what we're talking about right now, and that's not what the focus is, and because all lives already mattered, Black lives have been degraded or whatever term you want to use,
marginalized.
Yes, marginalized, and so yeah, I've had that conversation before, and it's
how'd it feel?
It felt good and awkward at the same time. Part of it is just like I mentioned before. I grew up in a little tiny rural high school. We didn't have any Black students the entire time that I was there. So, and that goes back a little bit to my comment of bias versus racist.
Yeah.
Growing up in that environment, and my sister still kind of lives in that environment. I don't view her as racist at all, but she has some biases. And so having that conversation of and I don't know if it was on here that we talked about last week or where it was, but if this situation happened in a school where a student gets choked out by a teacher, did we talk about that here?
Yeah, well, we I think we watched a video or something. We talked about how if the gym teacher choked out a kid every couple of weeks.
Right. Yeah. So I use that example too, and so yeah. I mean, it was.
Yeah. I think one of the best.
Hey, Jeezy, real quick. I need you to do a urban translation. I'm trying to think of the word that. So Smeagol used the word centrist, not leaning. Never mind. I see your face. Run.
Yeah.
Run. I'm
That's
at
not,
run.
that's,
I'm at
that's,
run.
not, that's
dude.
not an urban translation for centuries. That means you just in the middle.
Well, you know what? Some of our viewers and some of our listeners are not as politically astute as others. So I want to make sure that we're clear. When Smingo says centrist, what does that mean? Guess what that means, Jeezy? That's you and me. That's you and me, by the way.
I'm more of a conservative.
Okay. So you lean the other way. I am
a little bit.
I am a centrist leaning the other way, but you know where that comes from.
I'm more conservative in my views. On
and by the way, folks, you know where that comes from.
We've had this discussion many times.
Many times. We're not scared of it. We live in Indiana, and that's the way we've grown up. That's the way we understand that. That's kind of how we view some things. We're business owners, or that kind of thing. So I mean, that's kind of where we are. So put that out there. All right, Jeezy.
But what I was going to say, the best analogy I've heard today about the Black Lives Matter is a guy equated to, if a house in your subdivision is on fire and the fire department comes and burn and spray water on their house, the one that's on fire, do you want them to spray water on your house too, even though your house is perfectly fine? And that's the way he can explain Black Lives Matter. I was like, that's a good analogy.
All houses matter.
Yeah, all houses matter. But no, this was on fire. Let's take care of this house, the one that's on fire right now.
In our neighborhood,
all the houses matter, but this one's on fire.
In our
when he said it, I was like, that's what I'm gonna use. Every time I hear somebody say all houses matter, I'm gonna use that analogy.
Yeah, and it's been smoldering for a long time.
Yeah, man. It was an attic fire. There's just kind of people just dying by carbon monoxide.
Man, I mean, you guys understand? Slavery started at what, 1617. I know people are saying 1619, but it really started. It really started in 1617 and has not changed. And
also, I think one thing that our Pilgrim friends need to understand, and just Pilgrim people in general, is we only been, and I use quotes, free. The civil rights was 1950. That's what. That's as Joe Rogan like to say, one person ago. That's one person ago. So you expect people, a group of people that has been oppressed their whole time of being here, and we're like the first generation of people, and our kids is the second generation that's been kind of like able to move around without any real resistance. I mean, resistance, but not like it was for our parents and grandparents. So we won't see the growth of our generation won't happen until we like at least 2 more generations after us.
What's the reason? What's the reason we have to wait that long? Holy cow!
It ain't gonna happen. What I'm saying is, you have a group of people, their mindset. So you have to like literally just weed out the people whose mindset is still in those ways. I mean, we was fortunate to have good role models in our lives and good people in our lives. So that has to keep spreading over time. It's not gonna happen overnight. We still probably a good 50 years away from any real progress in the whole. But I mean the Black community as a whole. We're about 50 years away from that.
I don't even see it.
Hey,
run, and then William.
There is information and there are legitimate scientific studies that can prove the effect of trauma on DNA. So there is a real term called generational trauma. And so if one generation experiences trauma, that changes their DNA and then it is passed along through the bloodline. So I know that a lot of white people don't want to admit that slavery still is affecting the Black community, but it does because of that generational trauma. So it was slavery, and then it was civil rights, and now it's still this oppression, and so it's changing people's DNA, and it's continuing to get passed down in those bloodlines.
Yeah, I mean,
William, we got.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Will. My bad.
Well, I can recall what Young was saying about the generations. Because my grandfather was born in 1932, and his mother was a slave. She died in 1985.
Dang.
Now, for for the time my grandfather was growing up, he was always told that there would never be a black president. But before he died in I think it was 2002, he was able to see President Obama become the first black president before he passed away. So it was just something to see him to see what he was talking about when he was growing up, and for him to be able to witness President Obama get elected president, it was just the joy that was brought to his face, which was very awesome it was very awesome to see.
Can you imagine that, Jeezy? What are your thoughts on that? And then,
yeah, I mean that's real. I mean, think about that. Like my dad was born 1948. You know, so so you look at all the things he's seen in his life, and then to have a black president, to see those things, something that you never thought would happen. You know, that changes. So now you had kids. Like my kids, they pretty much grew up with a black president. You know.
For 8 years,
8 years of their lives, 8 years of their, they was babies when Bush was here, but 8 years of their influential lives, they had a black president. So they don't know no different. You know what I mean? Like they don't know what it was like before, so they're seeing their perception of race is way different than my perception of race, and then my parents' perception and grandparents' perception of race is way different. That's what I'm saying. Like, we have to get further away and have more inclusiveness than like our kids. When my daughter's my age, things would be way different for them than it was for me at my age now.
Man, Jeezy, like,
then their kids would experience something different, completely different than all of us will ever experience.
What you just put in perspective now makes total sense when you say it's going to be at least 50 years. I mean, you and Ron put it in perspective for us, along with Williams' interpretation of what it was like for his grandparents. See, my grandparents are a little older than his, and so going through some of their stuff, I could see where my great grandpa went through the Depression, and there was no jobs, no nothing, and was it I think Roosevelt? I asked D Big Sis. The Big Sis was saying that President Roosevelt started this thing called the Civilian Conservation Corps. And it was like a ragtag army of people that went out and they cut trees down and they dug ditches and they did all kinds of stuff. It was work for them that the United States paid for. But they were kind of enlisted into that organization. And so I saw the paper when my great grandfather was, let out of it after the Depression was over. And so it just blows my mind though that, and guys, you say this, so you say 50 years is going to be different, it's going to be better. I want to say maybe D-Lo sent out a picture of, it was Sanford and Son, and it was Lamont. See if I can find it. It was Lamont saying, well, Dad, you know that black people die from diabetes and high blood pressure and something else, and Fred G. Sanford said, I thought it was police brutality. It was 1973 that joke was put on TV.
Yeah.
1973. Even Moose, I was here. Moose was here, but man, I might have just been learning how to use the potty.
But see, the thing is like the reason why I say 50 years, it might even be longer.
So we talking almost 50 years is my point.
Right.
And we
think
got
about this. Think about this. Think about the information that your grandparents and parents gave you, and then I think about the same information that you're giving your sons. Like, it's way different information, like, because you are exposed to more, so now you're giving them more information. So they are getting way more information, technology. They're getting way more. They'll have a better footing than we had because now they're growing up with all the technology. They're growing up with all the information. They're in the information age. So all the information that was kept from us is now pretty much free for anybody to look it up and get it. So that will take time for that generation to now affect the next generation, the generation behind them. And so then you will see growth. And not to mention that the world is getting more brown anyway. So it'll be more brown in 50 years.
So I got a question for you. Any of you can answer. So is it part of the difference is because of the exposure that we've gotten now, where you get all these children that like, so you get a brother and a pilgrim woman, and they make this child that's black, or you get a pilgrim man with a sister, and the child is black. I mean, is that going to change the way things kind of go a little bit too? Because it's going to add more allies to the situation.
My hope is that there are more allies because more people will be directly related to it. My concern, especially now, is that some people are only speaking out because they're currently dating a black guy or a black woman, and I want the allyship to be genuine, and I want it to be a lifelong journey, because you can't just post on Facebook and call yourself an ally. It's difficult conversations, and it's finding your way to be an activist, but not overpowering the black community. And so I think my concern with that is we will have more allies, but I just want to make sure everybody's in it for the correct reasons, and not just because they have one person in their life. Now, that one person can make a huge difference. However, if you're only speaking out because you are currently dating the first black dude you've ever dated, or whatever that might be, how educated are you? Are you just taking those life experiences, or are you learning and reflecting as a human being also to work on yourself? Like Jeezy talked earlier, he said white people have to be the ones to explain this to the white community, and I think that is something I don't want to ever be lost in this conversation, because I don't think it's a black person to give this knowledge. I think also that white people will receive the information differently if it comes from a fellow white person versus a black person. I don't think white people, especially white people that are struggling with their fragility and with their racism, they don't want to hear about the black struggle from a black person, but they will receive the information differently from a white person.
Man.
And I think right now, I think that what we're going through right now is a watershed moment. I think real progress can really come from what happened. And I think things are starting to move in a direction that is a positive direction outside of something that really, a tragic situation. I think if we keep the energy going, keep the conversation going, I think we can affect and really get real change to happen, in the next years to come. But we have to keep the energy up. We have to keep the same conversation going. We got to keep the energy pushed in that direction. And then real change can come and get those changes put on paper.
Well, here's the thing, though. That's what we're talking about today. Again, I'm gonna go on record to say that I think folks in Smingle, I love you. I'm gonna put you on the spot here a little bit. Although for some reason I'm gonna qualify this. All right, I'm gonna qualify for some reason. Smingle's been my buddy for, I don't know, a decade or more, maybe. I can't remember, but which is a cool thing. I can't remember, but I've never felt uncomfortable about something he said. He's never made a comment about me being black or, big or nothing like that. Like, it's always been this totally just buddies hanging, whether we making chili, sipping on some brew or whatever, There's been some times, never mind, I can't even go into that. But Smingle's never done any of that. So Smingle, I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit, and please understand, I just trust you to be okay with this, and know I'm not, hanging out there. Here in the last couple of weeks, you've said some things to me like, man, hope I haven't done anything, or, I was being myself one time when you said, well, I hope you guys, something. I said, oh, you guys, I made that comment to you, and we're just like texting back and forth. Is this a little more taxing? Is it a little more too hard on you to now pay attention to all the ways you might piss people off or make Moose uncomfortable or make any of your other black friends uncomfortable if you have any? I don't even know if you have any, and I've never seen you with any of them. So.
No, not taxing. Probably more eye-opening, and again, going back to me growing up in an all-white area and all that kind of stuff. It's more of and like you said, I've never thought of our relationship, our friendship being white and black, kind of thing.
No.
But it's more of like, hey man, like seeing some of this and not knowing all the history and all that kind of stuff, I want to make sure that I'm not I certainly don't look at myself as racist or anything like that. But I acknowledge that I probably have some biases, and so it's more of that of like, and the one text I think I sent something like, if I do something or say something that's not cool, like, call me out, tell me that,
right.
Don't just brush it off.
Right.
That kind of.
And yeah, that was exactly what you said. All right, so well, I'm gonna ask William a question, and Ron, I'm gonna ask you that same question. Will, you are different. You're a different brother. You grew up not like kind of out where the Pilgrims were a little bit, right? What was the difference? What was the difference being a brother that grew up where the Pilgrims were, then all of a sudden being surrounded by brothers from Hallville?
It was a different kind of struggle because they would look at you like, oh, you're from 10th Street. You're up there by the Ben Davis, and I used to live. I was in between Ben Davis and Hallville. I grew up on West 10th Street in Carriage House Apartments.
Yeah.
And me and Moose knew each other from way back when. From the Bronco days.
Dang. You went way back. Dang.
Yeah, but
I was a stud.
Yeah,
That was dirt pile days back then anyway. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. It was a struggle because I was looked at as speaking differently and being a little bit, I would say I was more hip to the game than what people were trying to say I wasn't hip to, and I knew a lot more than what they thought I didn't know, and it was funny being judged because of where I grew up at, but I knew a lot of the same people that they knew, and of course we did some dirt back then too, but they thought I was just this perfect little angel that was just I would say skipping through the daisies, but I was there, but I was doing my work and I was trying to get out of school.
So here's what's funny, guys. If you listen to my man Will talk, it's funny that this is how we learn. Like we learn not to give a lot of information away. Like, he's really being protective, which I appreciate. I appreciate he's being protective, except for the Broncos stuff. Although, because I used to beat them up, like I was on the other squad. But anyway, it's one of those things where if you want to really break up a class of people or a race of people, you split them, right? So Moose and William are of the age where in Indianapolis, when you talk about redlining, Smingle, like you said, it used to be a situation where most of us in the city where I'm from went to city schools, and then where William's from, they went to township schools. And guess what they did? They came through and they had what's called desegregation. So they took all the black kids. Now, there was 2 or 3 white families, Pilgrim families, that lived on my street. The Pilgrim families did not get bused. They did not go through desegregation. They went to the community schools where the black children then went to the schools that are out, far out. So like elementary school, Moose I used to walk 6 blocks to school. Then I rode a bus 45 minutes to Claremont, Indiana. And that's where we would have met. we'd have met a lot of them cats. So the handful of brothers that lived on the far west side. I'm from the west side, but when he talks about West 10th Street, I'm from Hallville, West 10th Street, right? Hallville, USA. Which is funny, we say Hallville, USA when the USA doesn't even like us, by the way. But we've always said that coming up. Where Will is from like the other side of Speedway, even like west of Speedway.
Yeah, outside of 465.
Actually, no. Carriage House.
Just outside of 465, just outside of it.
Is it out? I guess it is. Is it? I guess it is, isn't it? Yeah. So.
I used to live in Mariners Village.
Yes, you did. And so I think it's funny that systematically they even split up the communities so that we didn't trust each other, right? And that was the way. I mean, that is the way that you control the people. Split them up. Yeah, you know what? Both of them are brothers, but now he don't like him because he's from the city and he's from way out. And Ice Cube did a song, "Living Way." Remember, Ice Cube said, "Living way out," and he didn't trust him. All right, Ron. That's the same question I asked Smingle, and then I'm gonna get Long Green's take on it.
Yeah. So I think it's for me. I've had these conversations for a long time, and they used to be super uncomfortable for me. But I think I've just had the conversation so many times that I'm not uncomfortable with it anymore. I actually really enjoy talking about race and racism. However, I will say that when all of this really kind of exploded and I felt like I was having these conversations 8, 9, 10 hours a day, I texted one of my friends after about 3 days and I said, man, I'm tired. Like, this is emotionally and mentally exhausting. Like, I've been crying and like now I'm trying to explain this to people that I've known my whole entire life. And then I texted her the next day and I said, I am so selfish to think that I'm tired as a white person just now joining this fight really all the time when black people have to do this every second of every single day. Like, how selfish am I to think that I'm tired?
You 2 weeks in. You 2 weeks in, needed a vacation.
Much needed, like Gigi says. And so I think that is something that people just need to be aware of. Like, yeah, allies probably are to the point where we're like, whoa, but this is the reality for Black people in America. And I also would just like to say that I am so thankful that I don't currently live in my hometown and that I went to college in the city. Because the racist people that I'm having conversations with via the internet are all from Greenwood, and I'm just going to call out the whole town and be better. Like, get to know people and people that don't look like you, and I don't know, be kind of open-minded at least. Like, have a conversation. Don't just get angry and yell at people. And I posted this, but I'm going to just say it here. I would rather offend my white friends than bury my black friends any day of the week. So I really don't care what the white people at this point have to say and how many people I've offended, because I think these are conversations that need to happen. And guess what? Dear white people, if you're offended by these conversations, it's probably because you're racist. If you're uncomfortable and you're having trouble hearing these things, you need to look inside yourself, because it's probably a you issue. It's not somebody else. These feelings of anger that you are feeling are probably because really deep down you have some racist tendencies and feelings and thoughts, and so work on yourself.
Hey, real quick, guys, before you go in, before you go in, hey, my ex-wife's husband's wife, you got any comments on this part right here?
No, I mean, I will just say that I think Emily's a really good ally, because although just now she kind of got fiery, that's more my style 100% of the time, and it tends to turn people off. But Emily's very patient and, lets people come to terms on their own, and I'm more aggressive, and I think that in and of itself is not a great thing. So I think that while the responsibility is more shifting to white people to educate white people and to bring the white community in, I think the way in which we do it is extremely important, and that's something that I'm learning, that I need to not be as aggressive in the way that I communicate.
Man, I tell you what, we appreciate your comments. All right, for sure, and I'm glad you're here, man. For sure, I'm glad you're here for sure. All right, Long Green, what you got for us? I need to go get a fork. Like, see, everybody's kind of snacking, and Moose is hungry. I ate some fruit. It's gone already. All right, so I'm gonna step away and get a fork. So go ahead, Long Green. Oh gosh, go ahead, Long Green.
I want to give a shout out to both Ron and Moose's ex-wife's husband's wife. I've been kind of following some of their commentary and comments on Facebook, and they both are recognized as allies in my eyes. And just the dialogue and the emotion and the context that they seem to add to the conversations, I think have been very valuable. Just to kind of hit on a few things, I've been silent for a little bit here, but one, just growing up, even in the busing issue was still a problem in the Black community. I primarily grew up in the 38th and Guilford area, which is pretty much by the fairgrounds, by the heart of the city, in the heart of the city. However, in most people's eyes, the IPS school system is probably about as defunded and not as appreciated as most systems. But I remember being in my neighborhood, my mother lied about our address just so I could go to an IPS school, because the other kids in my neighborhood who didn't have somebody whose address they could use to go to a school in the city were all bussed out to Franklin Township, and the fact that, they were bussed out so far, like, getting back to the neighborhood itself, like, we had some differences with one another, even though we grew up, in houses that were in close proximity, the perceptions that we had about one another, because, wow, you go to Franklin Township, and, you know what I mean? Like it definitely drove some division there. But just in general, I am glad that our Pilgrim friends are having conversations with one another and really talking about this, because Ron is right. It's exhausting being a Black guy all the time, but that's the only experience that I have, so every perspective, every experience comes from the Black male experience. And, too often I've found myself in many Pilgrim circles throughout my 40 years. And, I've been the Black guy for reference in many cases. I've also been the butt of the jokes when it comes to different jokes between, my Pilgrim peers, and as a younger person, I kind of laugh things off, but, as I've gotten older, those things still stick with me. So I'm glad that there's the conversation, because again, I feel like even though I've been somewhat accepted, I've also felt that feeling of outcast, when I'm with my Pilgrim buddies, so the fact that we're at a point here in this country, in this world, where we have to acknowledge and talk about it, I think it's a beautiful thing. And I appreciate Ron, I appreciate Moose's ex-wife's husband's wife, for hanging in there and sticking in the fight, and Spiegel as well. If any of you get tired, if any of you are frustrated and it feels like overkill, holler at your Black friends, holler at me, you know what I'm saying? I'll give you a boost of adrenaline, and this is my everyday experience. So,
that's the first thing I saw.
If you get tired, just realize that you have friends directly in this fight that you can come to, you can count on to support you, because I think it's also important for us to respect, appreciate, and be there for our allies, because many of you are taking on fights that, 10 years ago you never saw yourselves in. So, I'm thankful for you guys.
Hey man, can I piggyback off that real quick?
Yeah,
I can tell you that, when I was married to my ex-wife's husband's wife, there used to be a situation where there were times when I would call and have a complaint to a company or to, then this is where it became apparent to us, by the way. So I would call and have a complaint to a company or something, and they would just play me off, man, and they would, be mad. Then I became the angry black man. And one day I said, hey, why don't you talk to him real quick, you know what I'm saying, just give him the business. And the response was different. And we both had a Scooby-Doo moment, like, huh? Like, here I am, I'm the man, and I'm saying something to them. They don't want to listen to me because, I guess I never knew it. You can tell I was a brother on the phone because I never really talked to myself on the phone, by the way. But when she would talk to him, it was different. Hey, so guys, this is my son here. You guys know the Lil Seed.
What's up, guys?
Yeah,
What's up, guys?
The Lil Seed.
All right, so
I to your last point that you just made about, when you call versus when your ex-wife husband, wife call. That's funny. I think that's more. I think that's more of just man versus woman thing. Because my mom can call. No,
what, Jeezy?
I'm telling you right now. My mom will call, and everything in the world will be given to her. When she called company, when something happened to my dad, she get on the phone, and next thing I know, we getting all kind of free stuff.
Is your mom a master code switcher?
Who?
No. See, no.
No. And then also my best friend, my friend Jermaine, his mom, they had a room full of stuff. I think it's just women in general have a different tone of voice, and they just relentless.
Well, I think women will wear you out with words for sure.
Yeah,
Men are very straight to the point. Women will wear you out with their words 100% of the time. I do agree with that, but I also think that I remember specifically many times when Chris and I were out somewhere and I would get upset because he would say something when I wanted him to, or speak up for something that happened that was not right, but he reminded me that he couldn't, and so I always did. It's different. It's different whether you're on the phone or in person. You don't have the same. He's a scary black guy with his size and, as nice as he is, I can be the one who can get in there and get into somebody when he can't. So I agree on the phone thing, but in person, it was very obvious numerous times.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, baby.
and so, guys, I'm gonna tell you how interesting that is. I mean, it's true. I don't like jail. You know what? It's not a fun place, from what I understand. And so it's one of those things where. It's one of those things where if you have an ally with you, I think it's important that they use it. And guess what's happening, though? So you're starting to see a lot of people try to diminish the relationships between, say, black men and pilgrim women, or pilgrim men and black women. But, man, you cannot overlook those things. I mean, outside the fact that if you take a pilgrim woman to a fish joint in the neighborhood, and she tries to order cheese and lettuce on her fish sandwich, she's not going to understand that they don't make it like that.
Sauce is not an option.
No, they don't. Ain't no tartar sauce at Williamson's,
you
man.
Ketchup, mustard, or hot sauce.
That's it.
But I will say too, to piggyback off of Moose's ex-wife's husband's wife, that even so I've had to do the ally thing where I will make the phone call or I will go inside to talk to whomever I need to first. But also something that I think often gets overlooked is a lot of times I'm the driver once the sun sets. And so if we're going anywhere and the sun is setting or it is already dark, oftentimes I am the driver no matter whose car we're in, because that also can be an issue. I mean, we know that driving while black is an issue, and so then to do it at nighttime also can pose additional issues, if you will. So a lot of times that is the other role of the ally, is to be the driver of the car.
Man, nobody drive my car. I'm letting you know right now. Jeezy driving everywhere.
All right.
For sure.
All right, guys. So,
You can drive my car.
hey, real quick. So we got the health connection. The health connection is obviously here, folks. I'm glad you could join us. All right, so listen up, guys. So, all right, so our show tonight has totally been about the fact that, you know, I guess here's my issue. I heard what was called quarantine fatigue, right? You guys heard that term, quarantine fatigue? People were tired. People were tired about being at home. They want a haircut.
But who been at home? Who's at home, man? I go out every day, man. And
you do. Not a lot. Not everybody. Not everybody. There's a lot of people that have not gone anywhere until like last week.
465 be shut down about 4 o'clock.
So here's what's happening. I try to equate quarantine fatigue to the fact that for almost half a hog, I have been a black man, right? And I'm not still allowed, though, to be fatigued about being a black man. I have to be on point. I have to be happy. I have to be positive. I have to be safe. I have to be all those things, making things happen, taking care of my family, regardless of the oppression. And don't get me wrong, guys. I don't have the same oppression that my grandfather had. I don't have the same oppression that his dad had. I don't have the same oppression that his dad had, obviously, because just like what William said, I'll go back one generation, so my great grandfather was not a slave, but my great grandfather was. All right, so I go back, I guess, 2 generations, right? Is that right? 2 generations in slavery. And the only reason is because the owner of our family that was in South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, let the cats go. Like, you know what? I'm done with this, man. Like, I'm out of this business. He let them go. One posted up here in Indiana, one posted up in Illinois. And that's how our family got free. The owner, I don't know if he got Jesus, and I don't know what happened to him, but he let him go. All right. So being 2 generations removed, I still hear all those stories. As a matter of fact, if you came on my porch right now, I got pictures of my great grandma, my great great grandma, my great 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 grandma. They didn't have pictures before that. I got paperwork from all of them, all that kind of good stuff. I got it right now, right this second. So, guys, going forward, how do we battle this what they call the new normal fatigue? I did a talk this weekend, and the person said, well, I hope the new normal is going to be, and I made a point to say that the new normal has to also do with racism. The new normal has to also do with police brutality. The new normal also has to deal with us having a better relationship with society. How do we fix that thing? I tell you what, Jeezy, I'll let you finish. William, you go next. William, you go, then Smingle, then you go, then Run, and then Sincere, and then Jeezy, you'll finish.
Yeah, I just think that
Jeezy, you're gonna finish last.
Oh, you said I'm last.
Yeah, you're gonna bring it up.
F your couch, man.
That way you get the last word, buddy.
I'm just messing with you. Go ahead. I hear what you said. Go ahead.
All right, William, what's up?
I was sorry, man. I was on my phone. I was looking at some text. I really didn't catch it.
You did say text, right?
Did you say text?
Yeah.
Pineapple.
You said text, right? Okay. All right. I just want to make sure you said text. All right. I tell you what. I'm gonna skip you. I'm gonna go to Smingle, and then we'll go Smingle, Run, see if Longren gets back, Health Connection, and then Jeezy. Jeezy looking like a retired, looking like a what is it, a big three basketball player. All right, Smingle, go ahead.
All right. I think Jeezy's right to some degree that it's going to take a generation or two to to really get to where it needs to go. So it's going to have to be that marathon mindset. It's going to, there will be some fatigue, and we'll have to just keep slogging along for one thing. The other thing, I mean, this doesn't tie in exactly, but I think you should reach out to somebody in the government, like representative or whatever, and see if you can get them on the show sometime.
I appreciate it, man.
Classy moose.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, so I think that there is a lot to unpack with the question of like, what is the new norm and how do we change it? Because it's not a quick fix, and I think we've all made that very clear. But I do think there are steps that everybody can take now. And part of those steps, especially for white people, is doing a self-reflection. And so there's a lot of things to think about. And if you feel like you don't know where to start, or you're having some thoughts like you're very angry that Target was looted, but you are kind of used to black men being murdered in the streets, like, let's have a conversation about it. And so I think that it starts there. I think it starts with people being aware and being self-reflective. The work of becoming anti-racist and an ally is daily work. It is very hard. It will challenge you. It will make you cry. It will piss you off. But that is just the work that gets done. And all those things will happen in the same 15-second time span. But part of that is just being more aware. So to answer your question of what is the new normal, I think for a while the new normal is going to be conversations. It's going to be anger. But I think we're going to see some change out of it. And I think how do we fix it is long term. It all starts within our own circles, and we can expand from there. But until we can create a sense of normalcy around these conversations, I think we will continue to struggle. And so that's why these conversations are so important. And if each ally can get one additional person to feel comfortable having this conversation, then they go have the conversation with their circle. And so it just continues to spread that way, but it's never going to be a quick fix.
Outstanding. And I got a question for you guys, and Sincere, you go after this. Should we do and Jeezy, I want your opinion, Ron, and Long Green. I mean everybody's, but my heavy hitters. Should we get a panel of Pilgrim women and have a discussion with them on how they feel and what they want to, how they're able to help, or if they don't want to help, or if they don't understand, and just have a frank conversation, film it, and also do a podcast about it?
No.
Because?
Yes. No.
Because
we need Pilgrim men on the show. Is what we need. We need more Smeagol's and more people like Smeagol to come onto the show and have a.
And you do realize you don't even say his name right. So why do we need guys like
Smeagol? Is it Smeagol? I'll put this Smeagol. Was it Mingle? Which is it? What is it?
It's Smeagol. Anyway, go, man.
I said Smeagol.
Now you are saying it correctly.
I've been saying Smeagol. Am I saying it right?
You're saying Lord of the Rings Smeagol.
No, but I think for real change, we need Pilgrim men. Like that's just the truth about it. Because they are the lawmakers. They are the ones that they can make real change. Like when people see, it's sad to say, but when Ron speaks out, the first thing people say is, "Oh, she's dating the black guy," so of course she's gonna feel that way, and so they can easily dismiss Ron. Huh?
No one has said that to me yet.
But they may not have said, but that's what they think. But when they see Smeagol, if he says something, he gets a completely different response. I think if you can have a conversation with a group of white men, whether they lean more right, left, or wherever, but if you have a conversation with them and get them to see it or get them to come out, it holds more weight, I think, than if a group of women come out and say it. Just my opinion.
I think that Jeezy is correct in saying that we need more white men as allies. Look, that was my flip. But I'm going to go back to that conversation of we need to have these conversations in our own circles. And so I think if we can explain situations to people, right? And so especially white women, have those conversations to then take it back to the household, I think could be very powerful. Not all white women date black dudes, just for the record.
That's my point.
White women who are married to white men.
All right,
that's my point. What, Jeezy? Wait, real quick, D-Lo, what you got to think of? What you think about that?
What I'm saying was important. Just from a personal standpoint, I'm never going to be against a panel of white women. You know what I mean? So any topic you want to talk about and bring up a panel of white women, I'm probably there. But I do think it's important to have these conversations with groups of white men. It's effective, but kind of like what Ron was saying, you know, having these conversations with white women are important as well, because they're the child bearers in the relationship. They do the rearing and the early teachings in most situations of younger children. So if we can have conversations with them, if they're open-minded, if they're open-hearted, then certainly there's value in whomever we reach, because even if she can't reach her white husband or boyfriend, you know, she can certainly start planting those seeds in the children from a very young age. And so I don't think we should devalue the conversation if we have an ability to have a panel of white women to discuss these things.
Hey, real quick before we move forward, Big Gates from Houston, Texas, man, chimed in. He said, if they don't get it by now, why do we need to keep explaining our struggle? He's like, I disagree, I'm not sure which one he disagrees on. I think maybe the white men is what he disagrees on. The Pilgrim men, and so, Sincere, I unmuted you. No, okay, you're unmuted. You moving so much, man. You messing us up, but now you being still. Hey, so what are your thoughts on what we said here? Do we need a panel or not? Oh gosh, he's not even on there. All right, Jeezy, what do you think?
Your volume's not on. His volume's off.
You got me.
He's muted.
I didn't have him muted.
He had it self-muted, but go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Hate perpetuates hate. Love perpetuates love. As what Ron was saying, you know, within our circle. Well, guess what that circle consists of? That circle consists of starting within our homes. That circle consists of start with the next generation. If 2 generations removed are still not getting it or understanding, start with the generation that we have a direct impact on, and that's the youth. Start with teaching these children love everyone. Start with teaching these children to embrace everyone. There are differences, but we are still yet all the same. Someone had asked me a very valid question today. What can I do to help this situation? What can I do to be made to help to understand? That is the first step in acceptance. It is asking the right questions so you are told the right answers. So many people are so worried about, you know, what's going on in Target, what's going on in the street, what's going on with police brutality, that they fail to understand that these things are the catalyst not of just accidents of the past, but they're the accidents that continue to be repeated through and through and through. Another thing is stop listening to the media. The media constantly drives home the fact that black male killed by white officer. Hey, at the end of the day, don't introduce me as your black friend, Big K Sincere, the Health Connection. This is my boy, K Sincere, the Health Connection. This is my friend, K Sincere, the Health Connection. This is my friend, Run. This is my friend, Smeagol. These are my friends. And, you know, for example, I'm not going to introduce you, hey, this is my gay friend, Bobby. No, this is my friend. So at the end of the day, there are no titles. There are no things that have to have a negative connotation. Anytime someone adds the word black, you automatically in your mind have been programmed based on the things that you see, the things that you give wait to in this world. We manifest things ourselves, and we have to manifest it with our own families.
I mean,
And
you
as we
scared?
said last week, having fathers in the home, even if you're not in the home, even if I'm not your father, I am a father. I still will try to teach you as much positivity things, as many things that can help you make a positive impact on this world.
You scared me for a second. You said, "This is my gay friend," and I was hoping you wouldn't say any of us. That would have made me nervous. Luckily, it's not any of us. I don't think any of us are, but it made me nervous for a second. Hey, man. Hey,
I
Health
think Smith
Connection.
will have something, yo.
Health Connection. I appreciate that. What's up, Jeezy?
I was just going to say, being the minister of memes, I saw a good one the other day, and I probably won't get it exactly right, but it was, how should we treat others? And then the response was, there are no others.
We are the same.
Yeah. Also, I think, to go back to your original question about the new normal.
Yeah.
I think right now we and rightfully so, we're harping a lot on the differences between races and everything like that, and that should be the lead conversation. But the next line after that needs to be economic growth in our community. That has to be the next step. Is to become financially independent, financially literate, as far as in the community, understanding what wealth is, understanding what financial freedom is. Those lessons need to be taught in our community as well. Understanding how to balance a checkbook, understanding how to do your taxes, understanding. Why are you making that face, Moose? That's real.
When's the last time you wrote a check?
Yeah, but you still need to know how to balance a checkbook. Like those are little things that our kids need to be taught and understand, so that they can have equal footing moving forward. To know that, hey, if I buy this house, I got X amount of days before taxes come due, so either I can sell it or learn the game how they play it. Understand that it's not about, when it comes to taxes, it's not about what you earn, but what you can keep. Understand those things, so we're on the same equal footing as everybody else. Go ahead.
You say learn the game how they play it, or learn the game how it should be played?
No, learn the game how they play. They play the game different from us. They play a different game than we're playing.
Because it should be played that way. It should be played.
Life is a game, and they play it way better than us. So we got to learn to play the game the way they play the game.
Okay.
And that's understanding taxes, understanding how markets work, understanding how interest work, understanding how credit card works, understanding how credit works. Like, those are things that we need to understand and teach our young people, and also use those same tools in our everyday lives. So then once we understand that having a good credit score, having a good beacon score can improve your chances, improve your ability to get more things and live a better quality of life, and not have those things impede your progress because you're paying 19% interest on something, but because you have poor credit. So now you just continue to get more and more in financial debt because you don't understand the importance of having credit or understand the importance of knowing those things. And that's something that we need to teach our youth and kind of like beat it into them so that they understand the importance. I know beat it into them was a bad way of saying it, but drum it into their head to where they understand it. Yeah, drum it.
All right. Hey, man. Hey, you guys listen to Heavy Hitters Radio Show. This is Moose aka Big House. I am the host of your show, man. I did shower like right before the show, which is pretty cool. To my right on the video screen here, I guess it's to my left. No, I don't know what it is. If I was a docent, it'd be to my left, I guess. That's the one. That's the one, the only Jeezy Mbako. He looks like he's in Ice Cube's was that 303 league. He's chilling in his chair. He just got out of the game. To my right is Smingle. Down below me, man, the lady of the house is the one and only Run. See, yeah, that's her, man. And then diagonal to me, man, is one of my childhood buddies, man, from outside the circle, Big William. And then right underneath me, who we cannot see at all because I'm not sure why he's moving around so much, but it's a Health Connection. K Sincere. He's just like a shadow. He's like a total meme right now of K Sincere. All right. So anyway, we in here, man. Health Connection. Hey, real quick. Hey.
Can you see me? Am I on your screen?
Did I not say anything?
No.
Oh, my bad. Hey, I tell you what. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I left this guy out, man. He's a smooth voice. That's really, you know what? Really, folks, I think he's hoping that I'll become a hashtag so he can take my spot. That's horrible to say, but that's not the case. That's a horrible joke. Horrible joke.
Take it out of the universe right now. Take it back.
He could be like, yo, it's DJ Long Green. R.I.P. Moose. Heavy Hitters Radio Show. I'm up in here.
Hey, folks, we are where you are. Let's take a long green turn.
Yes.
But can you do the Twitter handle?
Do it right now. It's just practice.
Hey, folks, you can catch us on Twitter at heavy
_hitters.
Hey, folks, that's us.
That was so uncomfortable, but you did a good job, man. You did a good job, man.
That was your telephone voice. Hey, folks, that's us.
I know. See, he code switched ridiculously.
For sure.
Hey, man, anyway, that's DJ Long Green, man, otherwise known as D-Lo. D-Lo G. Hey, so I'm glad you're here, man. Hey, D-Lo, Run, where can you find us real quick?
Yeah, you want us to both talk at the same time?
No, you take turns?
I'll do social media. You can find us on Facebook at Heavy Hitters Radio Show or Instagram at Heavy Hitters Radio Show. And we just told you our Twitter. Unless we want to do it again the real way.
No, you're good.
Okay.
But you can find us on all your major podcasting networks. You can find us in the Apple Store, in the Google Play Store. You can catch us on Spotify. Pretty much, if you put in the search engine Heavy Hitters Radio Show, independent radio, you will find us. So we are not hard to find.
And our video feeds now, like these Zoom meetings go on YouTube.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I figured out. And we also got some visitors, man. We got Smingle in the house who is our minister of memes. And then we got William in the house. Hey, real quick, and the Health Connection. Hey guys, so we're supposed to have the Black Panther Party on tonight. They had a meeting they had to jump into, so they were not able to join us. They said they could join us next week. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, if they get busy, then obviously they can't. But some of their message, man, is poignant. Some of it is scary. Some of it makes total sense to me. All right. How do you guys feel? And again, this whole show is about the fatigue that's going to happen when folks get tired. So Colin Kaepernick, what was it, 4 years ago? Colin Kaepernick 4 years ago knelt during the national anthem. 3 years ago knelt during the national anthem, and the narrative was that he knelt in, disrespecting the flag and not respecting the folks, in our society. When that was not it at all. Yesterday or this week, that Roger Goodell came out and said, "We are sorry. We did not pay attention. We did not, do." So let me ask you this, and Jeezy, I want you to go first because I know you're gonna have the Jeezy, then Smingle, then DJ, then Long Green, then William. Should they bring Cap back? Is the first question. And the second question is anything going to change because of this?
Well, yeah. Well, I think you kind of leaped over why he did the video. Is because a lot of I don't know if you saw the video. Did you see it? The video of all the players?
I did.
With their demands. So that's why he did it. I also think that there will be some changes to the NFL because, I mean, right now the light is shining on a lot of stuff. To answer your second question, should Cap come back? I'll say no. Will they invite him back? Oh, they will. They definitely will invite him back. Some team will try to bring him in. But at this point, I don't know. He's 35 years old or how old he is. I think, and I've said this before, he is more valuable not playing than playing. Because the NFL is not like the NBA. It's not like, I know people use Muhammad Ali as boxing. The NFL is a very different sport. So if he go out there and looks bad on any level, then everything that he kind of like, you almost give justification as to, oh, well, that's why we ain't pick him up. You see what I'm saying? Like you like leave that door open. Like Barry Sanders retiring early. People, Emmitt Smith has more yards than him, but everybody say Barry's better. And we don't know what Barry would have done in 4 more seasons. We don't know that. But because he retired early, left early, we at the top, we believe that he could have done better. So with Cap leaving when he left in the prime of his career, you know, making that sacrifice, is much his platform is much better because he can always say, "I'll sacrifice my career for what I believe in." He can always have that talking point. If he comes back and stinks it up, then all of a sudden everything that he stood for, then he's out of the league. His platform is not as big because he can't play anymore. So leave us with the myth or the idea of you can still play and let that sit out there and it makes your movement stronger. Then you come out there and then be a backup somewhere and get in the game and not do well at all.
Okay. All right. I tell you, I'm going to go to William, then Smingle.
I was just listening, man. And I'm sorry. I'm just listening.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. You are the perfect guest. You're the perfect guest because I keep trying to get you in, but you like, man, I'm listening. And that's what we want. We want some people to come in, just check it out, and then when you have a thought, you know, give us the finger and we get you in there. I appreciate you. Bro. All right,
I'll
Smingle.
just go to your house and I'm knock on your door. That's what I do.
Okay, come on through. I'm gonna look at the ring
I'm
first.
just kidding.
I'm gonna look at the ring first, make sure it's you, because I don't have no mess on my hand. All right, Smingle, what's up?
Yeah. So I don't disagree with what Jeezy saying that certainly would be a big risk coming back just from the standpoint of he's older, he's been out for several years. That and if he doesn't play well, they're going to point to that. On the other hand, I would say, man, if that's what he wants to do, there's a part of me that says screw all that and go for your dream. Because once you're out, you're out. I mean, once you can't do it physically, you're done. But yeah, there's definitely that risk from the side of this movement and all that kind of stuff. But from the pure football side, if that's what he wants to do, give it a shot. So yeah.
Long Green.
From my perspective, Cap deserves the opportunity to at least be invited. I'd love to see him be offered contracts by several teams, sign them, and then retire. I mean, he deserves to have that kind of power if he chooses to at this point in time. But, what he did being shut out of the league, that wasn't his fault, especially when the year before, 2 years before, Tim Tebow specifically said, I kneel to the flag because I cannot support an America that allows abortions. You know what I mean? But he was not blackballed. I don't think you should blackball Colin Kaepernick, especially when you've come out and apologized for this and you said you should have listened. I think Cap would be more powerful taking a position in the NFL, making sure that there's more equity for black coaches, black ownership, black power positions in the league structure and within team structures. So I think he's of great value to the NFL, and I'm sure the NFL probably knows that at this moment in time. But on the other hand, I'm sure because the president is posting so much in regards to I'll never buy another NFL ticket again as long as they're allowing players to kneel to the flag.
Who cares?
You know, you've got a strong power base that will follow that lead, and they will also have an uproar if they see Colin Kaepernick on anyone's sideline again. They'll have an uproar if he's offered a contract. But does he deserve to be in the league? Does he deserve that opportunity? 100% yes.
Hey, Long Green and you football fans, I got a question for you. So do you really think because our current president says he'll never buy a ticket, which he probably has not bought one ever in his whole life. I'm sure he's gotten in free. You know, somebody invited him. So all right. So do you really think his fan base? Do you really think his fan base is going to not buy football tickets because he said that?
I mean, look where a lot of his fans are at. A lot of his fans are in small towns and college towns. So there's a good number of them that'll go and support the local college football program that doesn't tolerate this type of behavior, still get their fill of football. I mean, there's probably a ton of Alabama Crimson Tide Cowboys or Falcons fans, but, you know, if the president says to that base, listen, we ain't buying no more of their tickets, you know what I mean? They'll go to the Crimson Tide games.
I think it's a small portion that will listen to him. But also, I think that then a lot of the TV networks, I think a lot of the TV networks will then push the agenda as to why Donald Trump feels the way he feels is because he had a lawsuit against the NFL when he tried to do the USFL, and he won and got $1. So there's more beef with the NFL, more of a history with Donald Trump that goes way beyond these protests, and he uses his platform as some sort of get back because they would never let him be an owner of an NFL team. So that's where most of his beefs come from with the NFL, is something that happened 30, 40 years ago. So, and I'm sure a lot of ESPNs and networks is involved with NFL would definitely put that narrative on TV to let people know.
They'll bring that up very quickly. Run real quick. What's your comment? And we go back to Jeezy.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I know for a fact that some of his followers will not purchase tickets because my mother and her husband are Trump thumpers, and as soon as the narrative was that Cap was disrespecting the flag, they stopped watching football altogether.
Jeezy, don't you think those people get tired?
D-Lo said something. I hear what he said. D-Lo said something.
People drink bleach.
I mean, so when people left the NFL is America's pastime. It's the fabric of our culture is NFL football. So anybody that stops watching, guess what? They'll be back. They all come.
That's what I say. That's what I say.
The Super Bowl did record numbers this year. You know what I mean? So, it's people say they're gonna do something, but when it comes to NFL, every Sunday, Monday, Thursday, they watching or go and watch. And eventually, they're going, especially if their team doing good, they'll buy tickets and go to the game. Because it's hard not to get wrapped up in the culture of football when it's on everywhere, every day during the fall and winter months.
But I also want to throw in, I think ticket sales in general are going to be down this year if fans are allowed in the stadiums. And
because of Corona.
Yes. And I do think that I agree with Jeezy that this narrative will be exposed of the settlement with Donald Trump, but I think that I know that the people who are very loyal to him are going to find a reason that that's not valid, or they're going to have some kind of counter argument because that is how they think and that's what they believe.
Yeah, but they're still gonna watch. They're gonna watch. They may not watch this year, but they'll be back 2020. Yeah. Like, they'll be back. They're not going. They're like eventually you'll come back. You may have your little moment, but on that random November Sunday at 1:00,
they'll be
you
back.
tune it in.
Yeah, they'll be back for sure. Man, I was going to try to get in the Health Connection on some information, but he's frozen solid. No, you're not. We can hear you, but you're not in there. Hey, Jeezy, I just had a moment.
Yeah.
All right, there he is. All right, Health Connection. Listen up, man. In 2020 we have gone through a pandemic. We that was amazing. I don't know if anybody even saw that, but that was pretty amazing. So this is perfect. We have gone through a pandemic. We've gone through an epidemic of racism. We've had rioting. We've had looting. We've had civic unrest. We have had global. What's that?
Depression.
We've gone through economic downturn.
With just enough mariachi. Suicides, everything.
A damn pandemic. So I want you to get closer to your camera, and then I want you to give us some health tips on how to get through this bullish.
I'm so glad that you asked, brother. Well, first thing foremost, you want to take care of your body, but you also have to take care of your mind. It starts with the mind. Body can't go nowhere without the mind going. So what I suggest is we educate ourselves. This is a book by author. Her name is Toscarino. It's called The Eat Clean Diet for Men. But, I mean, it can be utilized for women, too, so it's not totally sexist. But there's a lot of information in there in regards to cleaning up your diets, lowering your triglycerides, lowering your cholesterols. Now's the opportunity to focus not on the things we can't control, but the things we can. That means ourselves. Get your pineapple's ass out there and walk around the block 4 times. Start walking your dog. Start playing with your kids. I've now seen children in droves riding their bikes each and every day outside, knocking on the door, asking the neighbors, can we come out and play? So these are things that we have that are mechanisms that are at our disposal. There's no excuse. When the damn pandemic first started, guess what? I took myself out there and I went running on the canal, and I must say I don't run, but I did it. And in doing so, it was a mind-awakening experience, because the first thing I said to myself, because I can't go to the gym, is this the only reason I chose to do this? So now I'm back at it. Now I'm going to the gym in the morning. Now I'm challenging people to put on a sock challenge. I'm challenging people do 20 good push-ups a day. I mean, challenge yourselves, and you have to start with that.
Here's my challenge. I challenge y'all to come over to the Jeezy house and give me 3 rounds of boxing.
1 round of boxing, you will sweat your behind off. I'm just here to
give me, put these things on and give me 3 rounds.
Or if you want, you can come to the Compound Studios and go up to the Tower of Power, hit the real bag for 3 rounds.
No, Moose, you actually fighting these.
It's the same. I must honestly say I've hit the real bag and I've actually used the VR goggles. Same experience.
It's not the same. There's no pound coming back at you.
Moose, I'm gonna bring this over. I'm gonna have you try it out, and you tell me. You do 3 rounds of this thing. You tell me.
Next Tuesday we at the Compound, live and direct.
No, you not. Unless it's a nice day out. We're gonna be outside somewhere.
Hey, your ass will be panting for air.
All right, real quick. So, real quick, hey, Long Green, you ready? We can't hear you, man. You got to get your sound right before you get going on this thing.
What's up? I mean, I haven't
There we go.
Anything.
There we go. It's weird, like it gets weird at the end for some reason for you. Long Green, tell me why you mad, son.
Yo, well, I'm mad. Some of you may have seen my post this week, but I'm a lifelong Colts fan. The early '90s were, just wonderful years to me, in the captain comeback, Jim Harbaugh era. You know what I'm saying? That was right up my alley. But I do want to say I'm extremely disappointed with one of the linemen during this time in life. I was a lineman myself. And so the Colts have some real characters and good guys on their line. And they had one particular offensive lineman, Joe Stasiak, affectionately known as Big Joe, who played for the Colts during this era and for several NFL teams. However, after his career, he went into the local radio media scene. And
Grady and Big Joe.
Grady and Big Show, and now the Jeff and Big Joe show. And Joe Stasiak has now been suspended by WFNI, which is owned by Emmis Broadcasting. And he had some pretty insensitive remarks to make regarding blacks and their exchanges with law enforcement on their show last Thursday or Friday, which caused him to be suspended for a week. But I'm personally outraged because, this guy had, filled the role of two of my passions. He played for my favorite team, and he was an on-air personality for one of my favorite radio stations. And I'm just thoroughly disappointed. He made some arguments indicating that that blacks don't get pulled over or harassed by the police. There is no problem. He stated the fact that if blacks are getting pulled over by the police, then they need to make sure that their registration is in order. They need to make sure that their tail lights are working. They need to make sure that they're using their turn signals. It was pointed out to him that blacks are 6 times more likely to get pulled over than whites by police. He made some comments saying that blacks need to stop playing the victim role, and if blacks want to be taken more seriously, then we need to get second jobs, and we need to get better educated in order to.
He said that?
Yeah, yes. In order to not be harassed by the police. So I'm greatly disappointed. I'm hurt by that because he was someone I looked up to. And I'm completely pissed that he only got suspended for a week because what he said was so heartless and so insensitive and so out of line with understanding that I just can't stomach the thought of listening to the station anymore. And I will say there was a time when he was paired with Grady. Social issues came up. He at least had the heart to listen. But once Grady's career took off, he left the station. Big Joe was paired with Jeff Swigler, I believe it is, or another.
Jeff who?
I think it's like Swiger or Swigler or something like that.
He said Swigger. I'm like, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
So D'Lo, I was going to ask you, it seems like it was a situation, because I used to listen to the Grady and Big Joe show years ago. It seems to me that since Grady left, there was no one to reel him in. Exactly. Like, hey, there wasn't that person on the other end saying, "Hold on, man, no, that's completely wrong," and give him more perspective because he didn't have that balance on the other side to intervene and be like, "Yo, you tripping?" Because Grady would sometimes challenge Joe on certain things, and they would have that much needed dialogue to keep one person from going off the deep end. But since that it seems like that filter wasn't there no more to keep him from saving from himself, that he just went overboard, and his host probably didn't do anything. So
go ahead, man.
I actually stopped listening to him a couple years ago. I saw the same, or heard the same thing, I guess I should say. Yeah, he was getting bad a couple years ago, I thought.
Yeah, but a couple of years ago is when Grady left the show, and he started becoming a little more extreme in his conservative views. But he hadn't said anything that I had heard that had pushed me all the way. I mean, Dan Dockich has said plenty of offensive things, and every now and then I'll still tune him in, even though I have a difficult time listening to him. But for me, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. And if Big Joe is back at the end of this week, I think I'm permanently tuned out.
I will say that I've heard a lot of white people use the excuse that if black people would just listen to what the police officers say, that everything would be fine. And I would just like to remind everyone that Breonna Taylor was asleep in her own bed.
What was the other brother that was in his house eating ice cream and the police?
Both of them, John.
Yeah, he was in his house too. So I mean, we know we I mean, and I get it. There's several different. There's definitely. Oh my gosh! Did you hear all that I just said? There are several different situations that have happened, and that they've been many things, but we have to be clear that the one constant is that their skin is black, and we're never gonna let that go. We're not gonna let that go. Their skin is black, and it is different, for sure. The experience is different. Jeezy, tell me why you mad, son. You got like 5.
Yeah, I can't believe that Big Joe actually said that on air. Like granted, I listen to all national shows. I don't listen to anything local anymore because they're just not entertaining to me. But
luckily, we're national.
Yeah, we definitely can say, I don't do local no more. Like I don't listen to local.
By the way, shout out to Big Gates, man. He said that he got pulled over. He got pulled over going through a neighborhood that was right next to his neighborhood, just trying to take a shortcut, man.
Yeah, crazy. That's one I'm mad is I'm mad at COVID-19 right now. That's why I'm mad. As y'all know, Mom Dukes was in the hospital and there was no visitors allowed in the hospital, which is kind of ridiculous. And it made me think, like, just the experience of being in a hospital is a bad experience. It's almost like a prison cell, almost, because you can't move, you can't leave. You got people coming in, poking and prodding on you every day. And we've heard stories about abuse of people in hospitals and homes, whatever. And a lot of times what deter those abuse from happening is the family or visitors coming in and be able to intervene and hear those stories and have a call to action. So I'm not saying nothing happened to my mom or nothing like that, but just the fact that we don't know now what's going on behind those doors in those hospitals and not having the ability to go in and see your loved ones and leaving them essentially alone in these rooms, because now you're waiting on nurses who have possibly 20 other beds that she's dealing with. So who knows how many times that your parents or your loved ones in these situations are being changed or being taken to the bathroom or being treated properly. Like now you just don't know because you're not there. You're not there in the hospital with them. And I think it's just, a situation where something has to change. Like I get that COVID is what it is and they trying to make everything safe, but where is the humanity as far as like having your loved ones by you, giving you the energy, giving you the strength to pull through certain situations, is being all taken away. And for my thought process, for no reason, because you're not telling me that nurses and other hospital officials are living in a bubble somewhere. They're still going out living in the world, interacting with other people, and then going to work. So if you got the proper protection equipment, you should be allowed to visit your loved ones in the hospital. I'm not saying you should be able to sit in the lobby or sit around, going around touching stuff or having access to the cafeteria in the hospital, but you should be allowed, especially if they came from the house that you was in with this person already, you should be allowed to go to that hospital and at least visit and sit with your loved ones as if they were sitting at home by them from before. I think that's kind of ridiculous.
All right, man. You know what? We understand why you mad, son, and I just can say that, you know what? I feel like that since there's not, although the understanding of coronavirus is changing every single day, and you know what? As a Moose, I even feel like I understand it a little better. I've relaxed a little more than I was before. Remember, you guys know. I was crazy about that. You guys know I was nuts about it. I ain't been to no luau's. I ain't been to no boat trips. I ain't been to no nothing.
Yeah, we got one coming up.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm been to that, but I finally took a meeting on Friday out somewhere at a place, and I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna have dinner. I'm gonna have lunch out at a place, and I'm gonna.
We'll do it 2 weeks.
Hey.
Show canceled in 2 weeks. We know what happened.
Hey, Jeezy, I'm gonna smoke a cigar on Friday. I have not smoked a cigar since the coronavirus. I want to save my lungs.
Get an invite, your boy.
Well, it's a business thing. It's a business thing.
I don't give a damn about the business. After you're done, you can smoke another one.
No, I'm not gonna smoke two. I need my lungs just in case.
I smoked 2 on the show today.
I'm not doing that. I need my lungs.
I might light up another one.
No, I'm never doing that. You kidding me? I gotta be able to. You know what? Breathing is so important. Anyway,
it is to me too.
Folks, the Heavy Hitters Radio Show, man. William, are you mad about anything, son? Look, I'm just listening. I like it.
Just the way life goes, man.
I understand.
I'm mad about Ron's joystick on top of her head right now.
People dying for no reason.
Okay.
And sometimes it's for the cause.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, William, I'm gonna apologize for my squad, man. Like we've been on it for like 3 hours, almost 3 hours, so now we getting loopy, and I can see that's what's happening. So it's okay.
That's Ron. I don't give a damn head right there.
But I remember, I can get looky too.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Long Green. Oh, yeah, you went first. Smingle, you mad about anything, son?
You know, my life's pretty good. The one thing that I'm a little miffed at right now, going back to my buddy that's in hospice.
You said miffed. Yeah.
He's divorced, and his family has not stepped up at all. Mm-hmm. And so there's been a group of about 8 or 10 of his good friends that, we were taking care of him 24/7 before he went into hospice. And then he went in there, and we all took turns visiting him, taking him food, all that kind of stuff every single day. And as of yesterday, his family cut off visitation from all his friends. So it's kind of a sucky deal.
Hey, so
they cut it off, but then they're not going though.
They're going a little bit more now, but it's at the point where he literally it's in the next couple of days he's going to die, and I get it that family should be there, but we're the ones that have been there for the last month, every single day. Yeah.
Hey, Ron, I'm gonna ask you a very scary question.
Okay.
What's the reason that because Smingle's buddy is Pilgrim? I'm like I said, I've been talking to Smingle about it, and I checked old boy out, that kind of thing. What's the reason? What's the reason that the family would cut off their friends? Like if Moose was sick, my family would welcome all of you to see me. They'd have you come in there, and we might, if I was okay, they might be like, yeah, we'll do the show. Matter of fact, when Jeezy, pardon me, but when Jeezy was sick, we said we can do the show on here, and he was like, I ain't got the energy. But we talked about it, and we took pictures, and we posted pictures on Instagram when Jeezy in the hospital bed with us around him, the squad around him, because we went to see him, and his family did not stop us from getting in there, that kind of thing. What's the reason that? And it seems to me, all right, and this is my bias oozing out. It seems to me like this happens in a lot of Pilgrim families. What's the reason?
I think that there's a lot of selfishness in Pilgrim families.
What if I said this? Tell me why you mad, hun.
Mine could also just be tell me why you mad, run.
Oh, that's true. Look, I was being mannish. Mannish? I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
I think a lot of times there's a lot of selfishness in Pilgrim families. Just in thinking about my own, we've had a lot of times where the relationship really hasn't been there during their life, and so maybe there's a need to feel like you've tried to correct all these things that maybe you didn't do while they were healthy and with us. But I think too, there is a lot of secrecy in Pilgrim families. Like, I think that they are much more tight knit than other cultures. And I'm saying this not that we are close, but it is a small group. And so to have additional people at the end of a life sometimes can be overwhelming to a Pilgrim family. Like, if I just think about my own family, I would say that my circle of my family is about 2.5 people. Yeah, like, I have many more family members, but I'm not close to them. And so I think that that is part of it also. Like, I'll hang out with my cousins. And in other cultures, that's a normal thing. Like, you're friends with your cousins. I don't have a single cousin's phone number.
That's crazy.
I knew I was going to get that reaction, but it's true. I knew I was going to get that reaction. I'm so happy about that.
How do you not hang out with your cousins? At least talk.
That's not my family.
Wait, you know my favorite thing was William. He was like, "Wow," just sitting back like, "What?" Hey, Smiggle.
That's good though.
Smiggle, what were you saying, man?
I said that's not my family, man. Thanksgiving, we've got like 30 people there, 30, 40 people. There's people I don't even know.
Yeah, I see the pictures. Y'all like,
yeah.
I don't even go to my own family's Thanksgiving. I go to my adoptive family's Thanksgiving. They welcomed me with open arms.
That's hilarious. And so you know, it's funny. I was looking at Jeezy and Long Green's reaction, and actually Health Connection too. Their reaction, Health Connection. He thinks he's on some sort of photo shoot. You guys notice how he's done everything. He's like taking the protein drink. He's had the alcohol. Now he's smoking the pipe. Pretty soon he's gonna be doing push-ups shirtless just to make sure we see all his sides. But anyway, I was looking at the visual of Jeezy and Long Green. They on my screen. They're on top of each other. Pause. I mean, I don't know what to say, but anyway, they're adjacent. And I just think it's crazy that I think it's crazy. I mean, I know I had a family member pass away last week, and we had a family get together on Saturday, and which is holy cow! Like all our families are taking a hit right now. But I went to the family get together, and there was 100 people there. There was 100 people, and
100 people in my family,
and they were all cousins, and they were doing their thing. They were snapping pictures and all that. And now, don't get me wrong, I feel weird. Like I don't feel like I'm out of the woods yet. I don't know if one of them was holding on to the Rona. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a little nervous about it, but I was up in there, and I was unfortunately slapping five, hugging, and all that kind of stuff. Maybe I need to say this on here so they can do when they do the contact tracing. They know where to go. They know where to go. But you know what? I mean, it's funny. We have these humongous families, and if we use that same sort of familial connection with our community, how powerful could we be? But a lot of times we don't do it, unfortunately. It's my people, and I'm cool with them, and a few of my friends, the heavy hitters, and a few of my other friends I went to school with, I played ball with and stuff like that, and then that's about all we do, So if we use that same community involvement, that same community spirit that we use for our families, holy cow, how strong could we be? But we just don't do it. Sincere.
Hey, Moose, quick question. What kind of ball did you play?
I'm sorry?
What kind of ball did you play?
Football.
Oh, okay.
I would.
Court.
What's that?
Because I know you wasn't running up and down no court.
I tell you what. You know what? I bet you I could school you right now today for about 10 minutes, then I'm done. Because I still got a jumper, and I can take you down low because you strong, but you ain't. I got skills, baby. Okay. I got skills. You can't shoot. Your muscles are too big. You can't shoot.
Black man can't jump. I'm honest. I know what I'm good at.
So yes, I'll say this to the world. I can hoop. Moose can hoop, but Moose played football for a lot of years.
Right on. That's my thing, football.
Yes, sir. So I will tackle you and I can shoot the three. All right, guys. You know what? I think it's time. Hey, so real quick, I want to have a quick moment of silence, even though we haven't lost anyone. I want to have a serious moment of silence, Jeezy. Thank you. I want to have a serious. I'm so glad people will be able to see this.
I just got in trouble.
I want to have a serious moment of silence for Jeezy's mama, and for D-Lo's mama, and for Smingle's buddy, and for anybody in Williams' family, and anybody in Health Connections family. And Run, even though she don't talk to him, somebody might be sick and she just won't even know about it. But anybody in their family, and a shout out to my cousin Susie, who we celebrated last Saturday. Excuse me. So just a quick moment of silence. You don't have to close your eyes. It's a quick moment of silence right now. Except for somebody's TV being on. Hey, guys, guess what? It's the Heavy Hitters Radio Show. What is that? What was that?
It's my joysticks.
There's some craziness going on.
Oh, I'm giving the Heavy Hitters. We gonna do this. When we get back together, I'm bringing this.
I'm not doing it.
We going in the VR world, baby. I'm gonna have y'all walking the plank.
I don't want no part of that.
Walk the plank. Tell me about your experience, Sincere, walking the plank.
Hey, just so you know, whatever the mind knows is real.
This feels like a good time to say, remember, we are where you are.
Hey, so no. Here's what I'm gonna say. Next week, guys, we will schedule an 8:00 start.
Yep.
I'm gonna post that start on our Instagram.
Yep.
And our Facebook. I'm gonna post that start time, right? So we're not there yet. You come back to our world. So listen, I'm gonna post that. So whoever comes in, just comes in. You guys cool with that?
Yep.
Outstanding. I think the new African Black Panther Party will join us next week. In the meantime, I'm going to work on an ancillary show with Pilgrim women talking, having a frank conversation. I'm going to work on an ancillary show about with Pilgrim men, if we can get that, having a frank conversation. And I might even work on teenagers.
Yeah, I think that would be good too.
Yeah. Having a frank conversation with teenagers about kind of what's going on here. Matter of fact, on the 11th, which is Thursday, I've been invited to a peaceful demonstration in Avon, Indiana. And guess who I got invited by? The youngest seed, the little seed invited me to a peaceful demonstration, so I'm going to attend. So I'm going to attend a peaceful demonstration.
What time we looting?
I'm going to. You know what's funny? You asked that. I am the chief of police in Avon, Indiana. Is my buddy. I'm not looting in his town. He's my friend. And you know, and I trust him. And what's that?
Buddy.
Yeah, no, I went to his wedding. Like we are buddies. You know what I mean?
So wherever he go, you go?
No, we're not doing all that.
Does he have a kid sister?
I don't even know what you're talking about. I didn't watch it like that.
Kid sister, my buddy.
No, I didn't. I turned it off. Y'all watch too much TV. I went outside and played a little bit. Hey man, Heavy Hitters Radio Show. Remember, we are where you are. Oh wait.
I had breaking news earlier in the show. For those of you that haven't seen yet, the media company Paramount has canceled Cops and is also taking off Live PD.
What?
Yeah.
What are people going to watch?
Cops and Live PD. Wow.
Live PD.
Making a change.
Yeah, so I broke a couple hours ago, but Moose, please continue.
Here's the thing. I like those shows. I mean,
I don't. I'm glad they're over with.
I did.
Well, you're the police. Here's my thing, man. I enjoyed those shows. Like when there's nothing else on, especially there's no sports on, you just play that. You can look up there and see somebody getting hemmed up. And it's not always black people, by the way. It's people breaking laws. Let's get into that. A lot of people break laws. What's that? What's that, Longer?
There are a lot of people that are black people that are on that show, and unfortunately, that's kind of the image that a lot of people walk away with.
Yeah, and not to mention, it was always in Lawrence, on the east side. Every time I turn around, it's like on the east side. I'm like, man, Indianapolis on the show every week. Every week. I'm like, man, that's around the corner from where I used to live.
Tell him, William, West is the best.
Shaylin Avenue. Like, ain't that a bitch? We're on 38th and Post.
Yeah.
Always on Post.
Always.
Yeah, because we're safe. We're safer on the west side.
Yeah, we're on 21st and Midhofer.
That's hilarious, man. And by the
You know
way,
what I'm saying? But we never get we're on 146 in Allisonville. We never get that episode.
not one time.
Not one time.
Not one time. Wait,
we have a disturbance.
Guess what?
We're on 196.
we're on 421. They never say we're on State Road anything.
Anything.
No, we're never on a state road.
Yeah,
like,
we're
by the way,
South 31 and Greenwood. We down here. And
by the way, where Smingle's from, it's one road. I drove down. I called him. I said, "Hey, man, I think I saw your childhood house or something. I just drove by this one road."
Hold on, Moose. We have a call coming in now. We're gonna go ahead and go to Zionsville, Indiana, and see what's going on. They have Karen pulled over. We want to check this out.
Okay, well, in all fairness, Live PD in Indianapolis was only ever the Lawrence Police Department. That's why it was only ever the East Side.
Okay,
look,
my bad. That's why I don't watch enough. But it was always Lawrence. Every time I turn around.
Right, because it was the Lawrence PD.
Yeah, they need the Carmel PD.
Build the image.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, man. Hey, guys, listen up. We gotta get out of here. My family's in here watching Just Mercy.
I got a workout to do.
My family's in here watching Just Mercy. I'm gonna go in there and finish it with them if I can stay awake.
Real quick, Bruiser reviews of Just Mercy. Michael B. Jordan outside of Killmonger is trash.
What?
Yeah, exactly. You heard it here first.
No, it was amazing.
You heard it here first. He had zero range. Killmonger was a perfect character because it's who he is. That's who he is as an actor. That's what he is. He has no range. I watched Just Mercy. I was like, yeah, you're still Michael B. Jordan. Okay, you're still the same guy. It didn't grab me. It didn't hit my soul as if it was like Denzel playing a role. Yes. You'll see.
You sound ridiculous.
When you watch the movie, you'll see his range.
I watched it in the theater.
Not a fan.
I watched it in the theater with my son, and we both had tears in our eyes at some points during.
No, I didn't. I was like, "This Michael B. Jordan. This is Wallace. He has no range."
Because it's you. It's just you. It wasn't Michael B. Jordan. It was you.
Marvel was also in it.
He has a range. I'm sorry. Yeah. This is my opinion. That's just Jeezy's opinion.
It's a garbage opinion.
No, it's not. It's my opinion.
It's garbage. I love you.
It's my opinion.
It's a garbage opinion.
That's why he didn't win an Oscar. That's why he wasn't nominated for nothing, because it was.
I love you, but it was garbage. And, you know, that's like saying Jamie Foxx was horrible in it too.
No, Jamie Foxx was good. He was believable. Michael B. Jordan was not. That's what I'm saying.
You're crazy.
Jamie Foxx was believable. Michael B. Jordan was not. With that big ass Apollo Creed mustache. Now I'm out. No, I'm good. I'm cool.
Hey guys, remember?
I like him as Killmonger.
It's Heavy Hitters Radio Show. Remember, we are where you are.
Get comfortable.
Yeah, mouth.
Hey man, we absolutely love y'all, man, and we'll be back next week with more good content. Maybe we'll have some content in the middle of this content. Hey man, we love y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.